no Hero, no Randall. Apparently, Embiid's not playing tonight.
Right.
There's more guys missing in the NBA playoffs than the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, it's such a physical game.
I know. They're so tough.
One guy is. One guy that plays in Miami's tough.
Just the Sixers chose Ben Simmons. And who was the other guy?
Markel Fultz.
No, God, who was the other one? No. Who was the other wing guard?
Oh, Harris. Oh, you mean
Tobias Harris, right?
Tobias Harris. There you
It
go.
was Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bulls traded Jimmy for Zach LaVine. Which, whatever.
I don't even know what the T-Wolves got for him.
Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine.
That's who the Bulls got.
Oh, the T-Wolves. I think it was just Jimmy Butler. Boy, that panned out real nicely.
No, it wasn't obvious, Empire. They were up 3-1. All right. They had leads in the third period of games 6 and 7. Come on.
Hell, it wasn't obvious in the third period.
I was going to say. That is an interesting factoid, KW. One, 4, 6, and 7 out west. 2, 3, 5, and 8 in the east. You know, the NBA's doing the happy dance. Got the Warriors and the Lakers playing in the second round.
Right. And the Heat and the Knicks. It's not bad either.
No.
And the Sixers and the Celtics. You got one series that did with Durant in Denver, but outside of
bury that sucker. But I'll tell you what, I watched a little bit of the pre and the post Saturday. Shaq and Charles and the boys. I got to give Shaq and Barkley credit. Before the game, they said, this is not a good matchup for Phoenix. And they both played for Phoenix. Charles still lives out there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And they were like, they're in trouble. And sure, after the game, Barkley's like, I don't know how they're going to beat Denver. He goes, I just don't see it. He said, Booker and Durant are going to have to play 46 plus minutes every night to have a shot. I thought it was interesting. I'm thinking to myself, the NBA, sure, I'd love Denver advancing as opposed to Durant and Phoenix. Get that Denver-Miami NBA Finals. Adam, I'm with you. I didn't think, how in the world could the Heat not be the lead story today, and they're not? Unbelievable.
Oh, by the way, Steph Curry scored 50 in a game.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
by the way. Hell, the Marlins swept the Cubs. And they drew 20,000 yesterday.
Yeah, 10,000 of them were Cubs fans.
That's okay. Cash just the same. In fact, they might spend more. Sports is amazing.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Hope you had a great weekend. It's the first day of May. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Listen, March was tremendous. Was April better?
Sure's hell went out with a bang, David.
Wow. What a sports month. Man, oh man. Hell, the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs aren't even over yet. Two teams who were in the finals last year. Done. See ya. Team with the best record this year. Done. See ya. Home ice. Can we
Home
play on the
court.
road?
Home whatever. I'm going out to dinner because nothing at home's any good, David.
I mean, maybe play your game in Alabama, Sweet Home Alabama. Let them sing it, see if it works. Man, oh man. First off, Mark, last time we spoke, you were on the East Coast. You were having a special weekend with your college roomies and buddies, and the four of you hadn't been in the same room in over 30 years. How the heck was that?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was as expected. A lot of laughs, a lot of fun, a lot of smack talking. You know how that routine goes. Maybe a little bit too much alcohol, but other than that, we're doing good.
A lot of smack talking.
Yeah, I mean, come on. A lot of ribbon, a lot of.
No, I understand. It's just
after one another.
You just think though of what you guys were smack talking about in your 20s and 30s, and now here we are. I mean, there is so much material now. I don't even know what roads you go down, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. No, it was a really spectacular weekend.
Well, that's awesome. Great to hear. And
then I had to make it back for my daughter's birthday party yesterday. I snuck this all in with my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, but the birthday party was yesterday.
Cool.
So I got away with sneaking away for a weekend and getting back early yesterday morning. So I'm officially tired today because I was up crack of dawn yesterday to get back here.
I'll bet you were.
But what a day. I mean, I didn't get to watch, because of the birthday party, I didn't get to watch the first half of the Heat game. By the second half, I was locked and loaded. And
Jimmy Butler said, Mark, I got you covered. Okay.
Yes.
I know you're busy. Okay. And I get it. And people got things to do on a Saturday. We're just going to hang in there. We're going to rope-a-dope a little bit in the first half. We're going to start to figure some things out in the second quarter. And then, okay, you're watching? Are you ready? Okay, we'll take it from here. Thanks. When the Heat game ended and they had won game one of the series against the Knicks, did you think there was anything that could knock the Heat off the lead? On this show, the Florida Sports Network, were you thinking that we'll begin the show talking about something other than Jimmy Buckets in the Miami Heat?
No, I didn't. And then, even though it's not a Florida thing, right after that, Steph throws up a 50-piece.
Right. And we don't mean Nuggets.
No.
Mm-hmm. In a game 7 on the road, by the way. Right. And they were the fourth worst road team in the league this year. Not of the teams in the playoffs. No. Of the teams in the association. They were the fourth worst road team in the league.
Also, 50 is the most ever in a game 7 in NBA history.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. So that was the afternoon.
Right.
Jimmy Buckets being, Jimmy Buckets, and Steph Curry taking Steph Curry to a level even he had never been before. And then the NHL said, man, I hope you guys had a good dinner. You ready? Are you ready? Because I don't think you are.
Team that had scored first in the previous 6 games had won every game. The Florida Panthers get out to a 2-0 lead, only to watch it disappear in the third period and find themselves down 3-2, and everything seemed to be in the Boston Bruins' favor.
Well, not only that, for those, if you didn't follow the series. So Florida played a really good game one, lost the lead in the third period, and the Bruins skated them into the ground in the third period. The Panthers had trouble getting out of their own zone and dumping the puck in. Never mind getting any offense going. And Mark, after the Bruins took the 3-2 lead, it was the third period of game one all over again. The Panthers couldn't even get the puck to center ice to make a line change. The Bruins were skating them into the ice. The series was over. And they pulled the goalie with a little under 2 minutes to go, and they managed to get the puck into the zone. And it never left until it went into the back of the net. And holy blank, we're going to overtime. A game 7, and we're going to overtime. This is Schmaltz and Morris, baby. We're going extra innings. Let's go. I just asked a rhetorical question on Twitter. I said, I know Bruins fans, you may not be able to answer this question right now, but is there truly anything better in sports than a game 7 that goes overtime?
And there, Tkachuk gets the opportunity early in the overtime, and you're like,
breakaway.
Oh no, are they going to get another one? I mean, you know how these things go.
A Massachusetts kid, too, on the breakaway against the Bruins. Save, Swayman. Panthers had 3 golden point-blank opportunities early in overtime. And you and I, a couple of hockey guys, you worked in it for 20 years. You and I are both thinking the same thing. Well, it's going to happen. One shift the other way, boom, it's going to be in the back of the net. That's how it works. And the Panthers said, as a matter of fact, no. No, not tonight. Not in this series. We were the President's Trophy team that suffered the embarrassment last year. You guys are going to be the President's Trophy team that suffers the embarrassment this year. Mark, remember how, and it still goes on nowadays, Crosby and the Penguins are the only ones that really in the last 40 years have been willing to touch, when you win the conference championship,
right?
They bring out, each conference has its own trophy. And teams don't touch it. They're like, no, you only touch the cup. Crosby and the Penguins, when they first won the Eastern Conference Championship, he looked around like, why aren't we going to touch it? No, I'm touching this. It's a trophy. We won it. I'm going to carry it off the ice. Everybody else, 40 years, nobody touches it. Is that now how the President's Trophy is going to be? Hey, congratulations. No. Don't want it. Don't want you to mention it. No. No, there's only one trophy in this sport. Got it?
Well, my answer to that is there's always been one trophy in that sport. It's the one that they see at the end of the year. Nothing else matters.
But I know most of you don't follow hockey. And a lot of you, I don't know, you don't like the NBA anymore, the style of player, what have you. All right. Hey, your choice. And it was NFL draft weekend and all that. Yeah, got it. We watched. We paid attention. Took notes. Whole deal. Whew, man. For as long as those regular seasons are in the NBA and the NHL, man, the playoffs are something.
Well, and just the fact that road teams yesterday go 4-0. No big deal or anything. Game 1 of a series in 3 straight game 7s.
Right.
3 straight game 7s, and the road team takes care of business.
I didn't realize how right we were all those years ago, in which we said the only place that still matters is college basketball. I mean, I'm a Rangers fan. I think I'm kind of happy to be playing in Jersey tonight.
Don't know how you can't be right now with the way these playoffs have gone.
Not only that, if you think that, well, when it gets really tight, it's a last change and what have you. Yeah, there's been 14 NHL playoff games that have gone to overtime. Do you know what the home team's record is in those 14 games? 3-11. It's remarkable what is going on right now. And I don't know that they should do anything to change it.
Don't know if there's anything they can do to change it.
And I don't think they can, because remember when the rinks used to all not be uniform? Now they are. So all the rinks are the same. So it's that scene out of Hoosiers when they go, from the small gyms to the big arena, and he measures from the floor to the rim. It's 10 feet, right? Same as in our gym. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I mean, all the rinks are the same.
And somehow, some way, road teams managed to get it done. I mean, every one of them a different way last night. Heat and Warriors dominate the second half. The Panthers game was all over the place. With an Kraken overtime.
The Kraken were dominated in the first period. Shots were 16-6 Avs. Former Av Grubauer in net for Seattle, standing on his proverbial head. They get 2 goals in a 3-minute stretch of the second period, and they hold on.
Avs get one disallowed because of an offside call that wasn't made. And it was the right call. It was right to be overturned, but you need the breaks. And the Kraken got them. They had one bounce in off a jersey for their first goal. Just a crazy night there.
The Lightning get eliminated Saturday night. 3 home games go to overtime. They go 0-3. Do you know the Lightning are 1-10 in their last 11 overtime games? With all the success and all the clutch players that they have, if that doesn't show you how difficult and random and just maddening it is to try to win Lord Stanley's Cup, that the best team in the league over the last 4 years is 1-10 in overtime in their last 11 hockey games. Makes no sense.
It makes 0 sense. Just stupid luck, David. You'd think you'd get a couple of them.
And we love every damn second of it. I don't like sports. Well, that's a you problem. Let me tell you. There's nothing better than sports. Nothing.
Great show lined up for you today. We'll talk some draft on both coasts with the Bucs and the Dolphins right here. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5, a mere 25 minutes away on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I watched the first ambient and then I fell asleep. Fell asleep in the first, actually.
They only called one penalty in the game, ambient, and you guys scored on the power play. No, it's a hell of a question, Empire. 2019 Lightning, 2023 Bruins, which is worse? I know what's more gut-wrenching.
The Avs have lost 6 straight game 7s.
I got that written down here. Where is? Yep. I will say, you know how you play the overtime game?
Mm-hmm.
When Leafs Lightning went overtime, I did Tavares was my pick. I thought he had been really good. Tell you what, Samsonov was really good.
Yes, he was.
He was really good. I mean, he's not classic. He's kind of all over the place, but he stopped that puck. Well, the other thing, ambient, with everything that's going on, I mean, we talk about it all the time. You just win that first series and you just take a look at the landscape and see where it's at. I mean, look at the East. If New Jersey wins tonight, look at the East. And they'll never say this publicly, but Gary Bettman, ESPN,
praying for the Rangers tonight.
And TNT are begging the Rangers to win tonight. Holy blank. Florida, Toronto, New Jersey, Carolina. OMG. Dallas, Seattle, Edmonton, Las Vegas.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Love told Aaron Rodgers he's got the best QBR in New York.
Aaron Rodgers is not as dumb as he appears sometimes. He figured it out. All right. When in doubt in the spring, you can always go to Madison Square Garden. That's not a bad place to go. Especially the weather was horrendous, apparently, in the Northeast all weekend.
Did you get any weather?
It was windy here yesterday. Okay. Really windy.
It stormed here, and people lost power. And
yeah.
My power was flickering all morning, kept turning on and off. I don't know what was going on.
Now, late last week, we had back-to-back days of golf ball hail.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I mean, let's be honest, Mark. When FAU made the Final Four, I mean, that figured to be the number one South Florida sports story of the year, right? What the heck's going to beat that? And the Heat and the Panthers are like, well, it may still be number one, but we're charging hard on the outside. Whew. Man, I mean, Kane's going to the Final Four, may get relegated to like the fourth or fifth biggest story of the year. My goodness. Hell, the Marlins swept the Cubs. They drew 20,000. They're tied for second. I mean, April was nuts.
Not to mention the Rays get off to what, a 23-6 start?
And that's with them giving up 7 in the ninth yesterday and losing. Had a 4-run lead in the ninth and lost. That's okay. Saturday, they were getting no hit into the seventh and scored like 9 runs or in the seventh. 10, I think it was. Yeah. They're getting no hit. They're losing 3-0. By the time they're done, they're up 10-3. Sports are just so great.
That's the month of April.
Right. What do we do now? We got the Derby coming up this weekend, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, I bet nothing but long shots. How in the world could you not just find the 4 horses 30 plus to 1 and just not go $10, $10, $10, $10? Come on. What the heck has gone on in the last 6 weeks? Favorites. Whatever. Please. Don't want to hear about it.
Just amazing what's gone on just in the first round. And we still have another game 7 tonight, Rangers and Devils.
And this does need to be said. TNT, ESPN, and the National Hockey League are all in St. Patrick's Cathedral this morning in Manhattan. And they are all praying for the New York Rangers.
Desperately. Boston got bounced. And it's great for Florida and the Florida Panthers and we're the Florida Sports Network. But think about this from your standpoint of trying to get ratings.
Uh-huh.
Boston's going to rate a little better than the Florida Panthers.
Might rate better than just about every damn team that made the playoffs. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. Going to be a 2-month celebration, the greatest regular season in league history. They got how many Hall of Famers? At least 3.
And, you know, obviously you got a team in Canada versus Tampa winning.
Right. And so finally that team wins, goes to the second round. The NHL's like, I guess. As long as the Bruins and Rangers win, we're fine.
Exactly.
Down go the Bruins and the Rangers on the brink. The NHL's had, for them, they've had really good ratings. Every series is up from the comparative series a year ago, the whole deal. I mean, ratings are up 20 to 30%. The NHL's very happy. Now the first round's over. The dust is cleared. They're like, so who do we have left? Well, out west, we've got Seattle, Edmonton, Las Vegas, and Dallas. And Connor McDavid plays for Edmonton. If you follow hockey, he's the best player in the sport. Okay, all right. Well, that's okay. The East is, I mean, that really drives the train. Who do we got in the East? Well, boss, we got Carolina. We got Florida. We got Toronto. And it could be New Jersey.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the games.
So my guess is Seth Everett feels the conspiracies at work here, and the Rangers are going to get a couple early power plays. Sixers Celtics begin tonight. Winner of that series is going to play the winner of Heat Knicks. And Miami said, listen, the 6 months that you all witnessed, like up to Easter, try to forget about that. Okay, we're the Heat that you thought we were coming into the season. That's who we are. That 6-month audition, I don't know what we were doing there. But we got it figured out now. And they probably don't have enough healthy bodies to go beyond this round. Jimmy Butler said, oh, well, we'll see about that.
We will see. You're ready to bet against him again, huh? Because
No.
I have no money left in my wallet to bet on underdogs right now, or to bet on favorites. There's no damn way.
Oh no, absolutely not. No, Knicks haven't done anything. No, I knew Jimmy Butler could win this series. Absolutely. I will say for the record, my pick was Knicks in 7. For what it's worth, my pick was Knicks in 7. Celtics in 6. Embiid's not healthy. How in the world are the Sixers going to beat him with Embiid not healthy? And my pick was Knicks in 7. I thought the Knicks were a little deeper. Okay, and eventually that would be the difference, their depth. But, if Randall's going to miss a few games, that'll help the Heat cause. They're already missing Tyler Hero, so, not going to get any crocodile tears from the Heat. They're on demand.
The big gap between games 2 and 3 could really benefit the Heat because Jimmy Butler's ankle's not right.
That's true. It could also benefit the Knicks if the Knicks can get game 2 with or without Randall. It'll give him 4 days to get ready for game 3 because clearly he's going to be less than 100%. But that's true. It's a strange series. They play 2 games in 48 hours, and then they take 4 days off, and then they play 2 games basically in 48 hours. And we see where we are. But, Mark, I don't know what you thought before they tipped yesterday afternoon. I thought it was a 1-1, 2-2, 3-3 series. I just did. There's not much separating these two teams.
No, I do think if the Heat win it, I would always think, hey, they got to do it in 6. But how the hell can you say that this year? Because home court means nothing.
Right. Like Jimmy Butler cares. Well, what did he say? Who was he getting interviewed by on the court? He goes, yeah, it doesn't matter. Madison Square Garden in Miami, Rucker Park. Doesn't matter. How can you not love him? You can be a Knicks fan and love him.
Oh, I can see if you're a fan, if you're playing against him, he could really bother you because the train doesn't stop running, man.
No, it doesn't. How do you not respect that?
Now there's a different, because you could definitely, I could see where you could get really angered by him, but you got to respect that game.
Would this be a bad time to bring up to the Philadelphia sports fan that they chose Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler? Is this a bad time?
It's never a good time to bring that up to a Philadelphia sports fan.
As here you are, another big series, and Embiid's not 100% again. Seems to be a trend. Well, enjoy that MVP trophy. That'll look nice on the mantle. Larry O'Brien trophy, not so much. And the Heat fans are like, bring on the Celtics. We love playing the Celtics. We hate those guys. That's a rivalry. You're trying to make this whole Knicks Heat thing a rivalry. Hell, we haven't played a meaningful game in 20 years. Celtics, we play meaningful games with them all the time.
They were a Jimmy Butler 3 from the NBA Finals.
Last year, right? Never mind LeBron and Garnett and Pierce and Bosh and Wade and those series. Some epic series then.
Miami's just, you've got to love their tenacity. You really do. They're not afraid of anything. And Butler staying on late just proved he's tough and no one else can. They all just revolve around him.
Even Spo, you're coming out. Butler's like, no, I'm not. Spo's like, no, okay, Jimmy, sorry.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Always do. And I'll do it.
I don't know if I did, Ambient.
Did they move the Grand Prix? I thought last year, wasn't it Mother's Day weekend?
It was.
So did they move it?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Nice of Masala to come do this again after coming on Friday.
Yep.
No link there, Ambien.
Jim Trotter, who got picked up by the Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Trotter had a hell of a story about Steph and the Warriors and how apparently Curry called a team meeting and gave a speech Saturday. Turn 1, row 2. Wow. Those are great tickets, JS. Hope they were comped.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Mike Masala to look back at the Dolphins draft 1 hour from now. We'll look back at the Bucs draft and also the demise of the Lightning. Where do they go from here 2 hours from now with JP Peterson? He will join us. A remarkable sports weekend. Hell, Sunday was enough. Let's look back at it. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Mark, jump in wherever the heck you want. Panthers 4-3 over the Bruins in overtime. Florida led 1-0 after 1, 2-1 after 2. Boston 2 quick goals in the first 5 minutes of the third. They dominate the rest of the period. Panthers pulled a goalie with less than 2 minutes to go. And then Brandon Montour, a one-timer off a deflection, buries the biscuit.
A little bit lucky, and you need to be. This is what we talk about, David, all the time. We've said it on this show thousands of times. People don't like, you want to say breaks, fortunate bounce. You don't want to say luck, fine. But the puck deflects in position to fire a one-timer.
So the Panthers defenseman risks it from straight away for the blue line. It hits Brad Marchand's right leg, caroms on a 90-degree angle right onto the stick of Brandon Montour, who one-times it, and it just gets by short side where maybe there's 3 inches for it to get by. As John Forsland is fond of saying, that's hockey, baby. We go to overtime. The Panthers have 3 or 4 glorious chances, and finally, Carter Verhaeghe with a snipe over the shoulder, hit the camera, perfect shot, and the Panthers eliminate the Bruins. Bobrovsky was terrific, 33 saves. Remember, Bruins were up 3-1 in the series. They had 2 third-period leads in Game 6, and they had a third-period lead in Game 7. They had 135 regular season points. The Panthers had 92. 43-point difference. Probably the end for Patrice Bergeron. Brad Marchand's 50-50 as to whether or not he's going to continue playing as well. If David Krejci joins him, it could very well be 3 Hall of Famers who retire off this historic Bruins regular season team. And then the defending Stanley Cup champions out in Denver get beat at home in a Game 7. 6th straight Game 7 the Colorado Avalanche have lost. Philip Grubauer, former Avs goalie, 33 saves for the Kraken. How many of you don't even know who they are? The Seattle Kraken. Oliver Borkstrand with 2 goals within 3 minutes of one another in the second period, and Seattle dethrones the champions 2-1. They'll face Dallas in the next round. By the way, Florida will get Toronto in the next round. Home teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs are 18-31. That's like 64%. The road teams are winning. Home teams in overtime are 3-11. Ridiculous.
It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Nobody around the sport's ever seen anything like this. So does that mean edge Rangers tonight because they're on the road in New Jersey for a game 7? I got a feeling the Devils win. I really do. I really do. This is the third game 7 between these two. Rangers have won the first 2.
Hang on. Do I have a quarter in my pocket? I'll flip it.
Yeah, might as well. Might as well. 8 o'clock start. So if they go overtime, gonna have to stay up late. Then there's the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler said, "We're not done yet. You serious? We got an extra day off before getting ready for the Knicks. We're good." Jimmy had 25 points, 11 rebounds. He's got a bum ankle. It doesn't matter. It's Jimmy Butler. Gabe Vincent chipped in with 20. Miami's got to get scoring from somewhere. They had a 21-5 run to the Heat in the third quarter to take the lead for good. Held the Knicks to just 7 of 34 from 3. That was the difference in the game. Heat 108, Knicks 101. Randall didn't play for the Knicks. We'll see if he does for game 2 tomorrow. Then they'll have 4 days off before game 3 in Miami on Saturday. Big sports weekend in Miami this weekend. The Heat will be home. The Panthers will be home. Sunday's the Miami Grand Prix. I don't know. That seems like a pretty big weekend to me. Do you know Steph Curry scoring 50 in a game 7 on the road is no better than the third best story of the day? No one had ever scored 50, by the way, in a game 7. The association's been around a little while. They've had a few game 7s. Steph Curry with 50. Golden State held Sacramento to 38% shooting and won the battle of the boards. Golden State handled Sacramento in the second half, 120-100. Warriors, Lakers, Curry, LeBron. You do know there's only been one NBA final without either one of those guys since 2010, right? I mean, think about it.
Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron at the 4 in a row with the Heat. Then he went to the Cavs. Then Curry and LeBron did 4 in a row against one another. Curry and the Warriors lost to Toronto in 2019. LeBron and the Lakers won in the bubble. 2021. The Milwaukee Phoenix final. That's it. Last 12 years, it's the only NBA finals we've ever had without Curry and LeBron. Because obviously Curry and the Warriors won it last year. Tonight, game 1, Sixers Celtics. According to Doc Rivers, he's the head coach of the Sixers. Joel Embiid is doubtful. In fact, his exact quote was, "If I were a betting man, I'd bet he wouldn't play."
If you were a betting man, you'd have to lay 10 if you want to take the Celtics tonight.
7:30 on TNT. The late game on TNT, Phoenix and Denver. Denver whacked Phoenix in game 1. Barkley and Shaq think Phoenix have virtually no shot. And that's with Booker and Durant. They're like, yeah, they're outmanned. Those two have, according to Barkley, those two have to score 40 every night. Each.
Score 40 and play 40, right?
Well, that's play 45, actually. He thinks Phoenix has no bench and no secondary scoring outside of those two. And they think Denver's going to win. They won game 1 decisively. Game 2 tonight. Baseball. Man, some crazy goings on. The Rays were up 9-5 in the 9th. About to send the White Sox to their 11th straight loss. And then they scored 7, including a walk-off 3-run homer. 12-9 White Sox. That's after the Rays were being no-hit through 6 innings on Saturday, and they scored 10 in the 7th. The Rays end April 23-6. I mean, what'd they win? Their first what, 13, 14? What'd they get to? 14?
14.
So even since then, they're 9-6, which is pretty good. Give it up for the Marlins. They swept the Cubs. They've won 4 in a row. Remember when the Marlins late last week, they'd lost 4 in a row. They were losing 4-0 in the 9th in Atlanta. They scored 5 in the 9th to beat the Braves. Haven't lost since. Marlins are 16-13. They're tied for second in the East. Good for them. They actually drew over 20,000 yesterday against the Cubs. So what? The 12,000 of them were Cubs fans. Who cares? Money counts all the same. Yankees lost their 3rd straight in 6 of 8. Texas bombed them 15-2. Yankees are tied with the Red Sox for last place. Of course, they're both over 500 at 15-14. Chris Sale pitched into the 7th, gave up just 1 run. Red Sox beat the Guardians 7-1. Don't look now. The Orioles are 3.5 behind the Rays. They're 19-9. They beat Detroit 5-3. Toronto lost in extras to Seattle 10-8. Mariners snapped the 4-game losing streak. Twins doubled up the Royals 8-4. They have a 3.5-game lead in the Central. Meanwhile, the Royals, thank goodness for the A's. Kansas City 7-22. The A's are 6-23, and one of those 6 were yesterday. They scored in the 9th to beat the Reds 5-4, snap a 9-game home losing streak. 6-23. Man.
What do you even say about that? That's hard to do.
I mean, the Royals and A's combined are 13-45.
Yes, they are, David.
Man. Dodgers doubled up the Cardinals 6-3. LA swept St. Louis. The Cardinals are 10-19. They're 10 back. This is the first time, Mark, that the Cardinals have been 10 or more games back in April. And I know today's May 1st, but play ended yesterday on April 30th. Since 1907. And oh, by the way, legendary voice of the Cardinals, Mike Shannon. Turns out he passed away late Saturday. The news was announced midday yesterday. He was 83 years old. So McCarver and Shannon passing away in early 2023. It has just been a lousy 2023 for everything St. Louis Cardinals. Padres beat the Giants 6-4. They played this 2-game series in Mexico City, in fact. Remember, that's altitude. Mark, Saturday, there were 11 home runs hit in the game. 11. Padres won them both 6-4 yesterday. It's interesting. Those are Padres home games. Their whole season sold out. That's 41,000. You know how many? The stadium they played in Mexico City held 20,000.
I'm sure they got a pretty good paycheck for those games.
I hope so. Colorado 12-4 over Arizona, snapping a 7-game home losing streak. Rockies are 9-20. Think about that. Oakland 6-23. Kansas City 7-22. Colorado's 9-20.
David, the White Sox are 8-21. They're just not in last place. I mean, I know where you're at. They're only a game ahead of the Royals. And the Chicago White Sox were a team that people thought could contend in the AL Central. They are 8-21.
4 teams with 20 losses before April was done?
Wow.
Man, that's hard to do. Houston avoided the sweep at the hands of the Phillies 4-3. Angels shut out Milwaukee 3-0. Ohtani homered yesterday, his 7th. Apparently, it's the highest home run anyone's ever seen hit. They said he hit the ball over 160 feet up. I mean, that is over 50 yards up in the air. And then obviously it cleared the fence, so it went out too. But they said it was like the highest damn thing they've ever seen. Washington beat Pittsburgh 7-2. The Pirates are in first place. They're 20-9. By the way, that career minor leaguer, they put him in the game. They got a start over the weekend. He got 2 hits. They sent him down after yesterday's game.
Got his hit.
Got a couple of them.
Yep.
Drove in a run even. So got his cup of coffee. We'll see if he gets one later in the year. Braves and Mets postponed again Saturday, Sunday, both rained out. They'll make them up later in the year. Golf, they were also in Mexico for the Mexico Open. Tony Finau beat his buddy John Rahm by 3. Finau was perfect yesterday, a bogey-free 67. The LIV guys were in Singapore. The big names are starting to deliver. Taylor Gooch, a winner again in a playoff over Sergio. Koepka was one shot out of the playoff. LPGA Tour, they were in Los Angeles for the LA Open. Hannah Green made a 25-footer on 18 to get in the three-person playoff and then won the playoff on the second extra hole, her first win in 4 years. She had missed the cut the week before. She was so distraught, she went to see a sports psychologist. Rain in Dover. The NASCAR boys will get it on at noon today at the Monster Mile. And a tragic story in Tampa. Shaq Barrett's 2-year-old daughter, Araya, drowned yesterday morning in their backyard swimming pool. She's the youngest of their 4 children. By the way, Jacksonville signed 7 undrafted free agents. The Dolphins 18, the Bucs 19. You want to see the difference between Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll? Patriots signed 2 undrafted free agents. Seattle 29. One guy of note, Andre Carter, linebacker, Army. A lot of people thought he'd get drafted. He didn't. He signed a free agent deal with the Vikings. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
There's so much that happened. I almost feel like we should come up with a poll question during this break.
Wow. First off, that was the first time we mentioned the draft. Think about that. The Monday after the draft, we mentioned it in passing once in an hour. That's how ridiculous the sports world was. And awesome.
Don't know if it could have delivered any better than it did. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you want the audience to pick the best story of the day? Panthers, Jimmy and the Heat, or Steph?
Yeah, I think it's that simple. Sports story from Sunday. Runs. Best sports story from Sunday. Panthers beat Bruin. Knicks beat Hicks. Steph scores 50 in Game 7. You good with that?
Heat beat Knicks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Felipe, I thought I saw you walking the halls. Do you have a Panthers jersey on?
Oh,
yes. That was an incredible game.
Gonna bring that up.
It was a perfect sports Sunday.
It's amazing.
Just 1, 2, 3, and then 4 if you stayed up.
Yeah, I couldn't make it.
Also, you said that Ohtani home run was 160 feet up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 15-story building. More or less. A 15-story building.
Somehow the whole computer in stadium thing measured it, and
they measured. It's funny. We went. Maddie did the bowling for the birthday party.
Okay.
It tells you the speed of the ball every time it's thrown down the lane.
3.
There were some 4s on there. There was the bumpers were. I was amazed. 12 girls, and they were all locked into bowling. They were having a ball.
Get the bumpers out?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. See, they didn't have that for us.
No.
So it wasn't fun as a kid to go bowling because you threw it in the gutter.
Oh, the bumpers is a modern thing?
Oh, it went, would you say 90s maybe?
I don't even know.
Yeah. Like, Felipe, I don't remember dating in the 80s and having there be bumpers.
Here we go.
I don't remember going on a date at the bowling alley.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday, on this first day of May. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a terrific month. If you're a sports fan, well, unless your team got eliminated, I don't know how you didn't enjoy the last month. Man, was it remarkable. Yesterday alone was re-damn-diculous and amazing and whatever adjective you want to come up with. In fact, it was so inspiring, it led to a poll question. You know how uninspired we are to have one of those.
And we got one up. It's pretty simple. What was the best story of the weekend? Panthers beating the Bruins, Heat beating the Knicks, or Steph dropping 50?
Man, I did not think at 3:30 in the afternoon that Jimmy Butler and the Heat would not be the South Florida lead. The lead on SportsCenter, blah, blah, blah. Then Steph scores 50. 50! Warriors, who were down at the half, small deficit. I think they were down 2. But, on the road, the dynasty teetering, right? I mean, that was fair to say. Losing game 6 at home, forced to a game 7, trailing at the half. I mean, the dynasty's teetering, right? Steph and the boys said, no, we got this.
And by Steph and the boys, we mean Steph.
Right. Because, when Klay Thompson was lousy. He was lousy most of the series, to be honest.
I want to give credit to Kevon Looney as well. He had 3 20-rebound games in that 7-game series. I think that was one of the only times that's ever happened in a series in NBA history.
And the Warriors won the battle on the boards yesterday, which is something that they don't normally do. They were +6 on the glass. So,
and key offensive rebounds in that game when it was still in doubt in the third quarter, keeping some of those plays alive and getting extra shots. And, when you got Curry, he wasn't going to miss 2 times in a row.
Apparently, after they lost Friday night, and Sacramento took it to them, that was the worst home playoff loss since this run began for the Warriors. They got beat by 19 at home. No one had ever beaten them by 19. You think of all the teams they played. Oklahoma City went through there with Durant and Westbrook. Chris Paul's Clippers, Chris Paul and James Harden's Rockets, LeBron and the Cavs, Tatum and company in the Celtics last year. I mean, some of the teams that they have had to fend off during this 9-year dynastic run, nobody had ever done to them at home what Sacramento did to them in a game 6. And here they were, a dreadful road team, going on the road, and apparently, legend now has it, Curry couldn't sleep. And he's up at 3:45 in the morning. And he gets a text from Draymond, who also couldn't sleep. And Draymond goes, I think I want to talk to the guys before we have our shoot around today. And Steph said, no, I got this. And apparently Curry doesn't do that. That you can count on one hand in the 9 years how many times Curry has addressed the boys, so to speak. And apparently when Curry was done speaking, he opened it up for anybody else to say anything. And there was stone silence in the room. And after about 10 seconds, Draymond yells from the back, we heard you, champ. And that was it. And then they went out and did what they did the next day. Took the bus ride up to Sacramento. Curry did the old, if you ain't on board, don't get on the bus. And apparently he looked right at a couple of the young guys and said, if you're not happy with your roles, stay home. Okay. I got you.
Most ever points in a game 7, 50. Would he and Malone are the only players over the age of 35 to score 50 in a playoff game?
He did it on 52% shooting as well.
Right.
This was an efficient 50 piece.
Right. He was 20 of 38, I think.
Yeah. 8 boards, 6 assists.
Yeah, 38 minutes, 38 shots, 50 points.
A shot a minute.
Thank you very much.
A shot a minute.
And this is a Kings team that they have never faced in the first round ever. I mean, the last time they lost to a Western Conference team in a playoff series was 2014. I was in 8th grade the last time they lost a series in the West.
Mark Jackson was the coach. They lost a game 7 on the road. I think it was the Clippers. Don't quote me.
Clippers.
And Jackson got fired, and Kerr got hired. After he had verbally told Phil Jackson he was taking the Knicks job. And then Golden State was able to swoop in, and I think he made the right choice. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I think it was a good call.
Hall of Fame type decision, David.
You know, if you're going to waffle, that's how you waffle right there. All right. I'm serious in what I'm about to say. Is he playing himself onto the Mount Rushmore of the NBA? Hear me out. I can make the case, you may not agree, that there's only 2 players who have changed the game. Changed the game. Okay, Jordan was MJ. LeBron's amazing. I can argue neither one of them changed the NBA. I think I could make the case Mark Wilt changed the NBA. I mean, they had to put rules in place to change because of Wilt. And Steph changed the NBA. Steph and what he brought to the game, and now he has changed a generation of basketball players. I mean, the 8 and 10-year-old kid who's now 18, 19, 20 years old, they grew up watching Steph. And now they want to be like Steph. And then you put this dynastic run, and he's obviously a legendary player. He'll be on whatever list that you want. I know it's subjective and the whole deal, but Mark, I kind of feel it's kind of like when we do in golf, the Mount Rushmore, and you make the case for Arnold Palmer to be on it. The resume is not Rushmore worthy, but the resume with the legacy, you can make the case is.
I'm not going to try to argue and say yes or no on that because it's not, like you said, it's subjective. I think it's almost 2 arguments. One is, who's the Mount Rushmore of players? Who are the 4 best players who have ever played? And then when you start saying, who are the players that did the most to change the game, I don't know how you can include Steph Curry on that list. I mean, Felipe, you're young enough that this guy changed the game for you. The game you watch is different because of Steph Curry.
You could argue he ruined the game. I mean, honestly, you go to any park now and every kid wants to be Steph Curry, chucking up half-court shots, 3-pointers from 28 feet out. No one is Steph Curry except Steph Curry.
Yeah. I mean, Trae Young's trying, and there's a couple of others in which you go, okay, you got a little something, something. Right,
the closest thing is Damian Lillard. That's what I can think of.
Okay. And Lillard was actually first, right?
No,
and that's the other thing. I mean, Steph is so young looking. I mean, you realize he was drafted in 11? I mean, he's mid-30s now. It's kind of like Tiger until he takes his hat off. You look at Tiger and you're like, my goodness, he's 32. No, actually, he's 47. You look at Steph, and he's so baby-faced, such a good-looking guy, almost always smiling. I mean, you know, he's always going to be like either senior at Davidson or early Steph during their 2015, their first run. I mean, that's every time I look at him, I see like 25-year-old Steph Curry. He's 35.
And this is not a league for old men.
No.
I mean, it's just not a league for 30-somethings. It's a league for 20-somethings. Athleticism is key, and he's managed to have the handle that he does in traffic, obviously the ability to shoot and pass, but it's uncanny.
Did you see how he got his 50th point, by the way?
Yeah.
He split 4 defenders and then just scoop layup. Timeout.
Listen, this is going to be really difficult for us. We all are part of a morning show on the East Coast. But we got LeBron and the Lakers against Steph and the Warriors, and this could be the last time that these two ever put their teams against each other. And these games are all going to start 10:30 Eastern. And that's when they're scheduled to start. They won't really start for another 15 plus minutes after that. I mean, I might be taking mid-afternoon naps.
It's going to be a rough 2 weeks.
It really is. I mean, I think I got to watch this. I mean, all those times I stayed up and watched Serena at the Australian Open, Federer at the Australian Open, because I'm like, I don't know how much more I'm going to see of this.
Napping and/or
just
fourth quarter DVRing. I'm going to be waking up at 3 in the morning to watch.
I guess. I guess. See, I don't do that. Maybe that's the habit I need to form here. That to just listen, go to bed, all right, and then you just get up an hour early and watch and go through the commercials and the whole deal. I probably could.
Well, because you can go through the commercials, you can go through free throws pretty fast. You don't need to see them shoot free throws. You just fast forward and see if it goes in or not. That's the only thing that matters.
And we're up against it here, but you're saying Steph Curry, Mount Rushmore. I don't think it's a debate to put him on the Mount Rushmore of guards in NBA history, because he might be the best point guard of all time.
Maybe. I mean, you can Magic, Isaiah, but listen, it's all subjective. We all have our own. But I mean, if you think the impact he's had, and by the way, the fact that we have LeBron and Steph in the same era it's ridiculous how spoiled we've been. I really, as sports fans, I mean, this is amazing.
And we've said it before, but the part of the reason of what you even said there, Philly, that I know you were a little tongue-in-cheek with ruining the game, is that everybody can go to the park and think they can shoot like Steph. You've got to have the God-given birth of being 6'8", 260 to try to be a LeBron James. Everybody thinks they can chuck it. Costanza thought he could chuck it, for crying out loud.
So it's part of our poll question. Biggest story of the day yesterday. Was it the Panthers taking down the mighty Bruins? Was it Jimmy Buckets and company going into New York and just keep on winning? It's the playoffs. We're the Heat. It's what we do. Or was it Steph hanging a 50 spot on Sacramento? Golden State Lakers next round. It's our poll question. Vote.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, I was wrong. I picked the best team in hockey to beat Florida after I watched what I watched in game 1. You guys can all come after me for being wrong.
Yep. Right there with them. We thought Florida's golden opportunity. They outplayed them in game 1 and got beat. Well, DC, the amazing part of the T-Wolves picking back-to-back point guards at 5 and 6, and one of them not being Steph Curry. I mean, it's one thing they took Rubio at 5. I mean, he was the talk of that draft. But if they were going to decide to then follow that up, I mean, they took Johnny Flynn over Curry.
I need to know what they were thinking or what they were smoking, if anything.
Well, and the Knicks, who had publicly professed their love for Curry, and Curry's and his dad wanted to go to New York. Like, I don't even think they met with Golden State. They did not want to go there.
Yeah, when Steph broke the record in MSG, I remember he said something like that. Like, I want it to be a Knick.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine.
And the Knicks had a good GM at the time too. And he was putting together a nice team, all the parts that they eventually were forced to trade to Denver for Carmelo because the owner demanded it. And why he didn't trade up from 8 with Minnesota at 6 to get ahead of Golden State, I'll never didn't understand it at the time. And obviously none of us thought he'd turn out to be this, but yeah, I know, DC. Flynn was terrific, but if you watch Steph take Davidson to within a bucket of beating Kansas in a region final, I mean, Steph literally took 4 guys. Steph and 4 guys went to an Elite 8 and damn near beat Kansas, who went on to win the national title. When Joe Dooley was the coach at FGCU, all right, I talked to him about that game. He said that's the most terrified we ever were as coaches. You know, we had to get to a Final Four. Bill had to get over the hump, and he terrified us. He said once we got to the Final Four, we just played. He said, but we were scared to death playing Davidson. By the way, Sean McDonough and Jay Billis in that 6 overtime game were remarkable. McDonough was tremendous. Thought he should have won the Emmy that year. What was that, like 06? No, it had to be later than that. Because Flynn was in the 11 draft, so it had to be later. It's unreal.
I just got a text. Johnny Flynn played at the City of Palms Classic. Wow. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We have barely even mentioned the NFL draft on this magnificent Monday after the final weekend of April. It is May 1st. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mike Masala. We'll spend a few minutes with him, catching back up on the Dolphins' 4 picks. They actually got high grades from those that are grading everybody and their picks, and they got even faster if that was possible. So we'll talk to Mike Masala about who the Dolphins drafted coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Can you believe the Florida Panthers beat the Boston Bruins?
No, I cannot. And I'm impressed on how they did it. You know, they lose the game they play well in game 1.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that would be about it for them.
Yeah, because, you know, it's going to be hard enough getting to 4 against these guys. You outplay them and get beat. And Boston, we thought, looked a step slow in that game, and Boston's going to get their sea legs, and Florida's going to be in trouble. And we weren't wrong. Boston was up 3-1 in the series. Even their coach last night, he was asked to explain it. He said, you know, first couple games, they had been playing kind of playoff hockey, and we hadn't. And, you know, I thought we were a little off our game the first 2 games. He goes, but we played fine in Florida. Okay, he goes, we're up 3-1 when we're playing our game, and we're getting guys back also. You know, they're starting to get Bergeron and others back. I mean, that's the other thing. They're up 3-1 without Bergeron. Bergeron comes back, they lose all 3 games. Matthew Tkachuk, after the game last night, is what? Best player on the Panthers? One of their 3 best players?
Certainly one of their 3 best.
Right.
Absolutely.
It hasn't sunk in yet. The talent they have over there in Boston is unbelievable. That we were able to do what we did after what they did all year. The fact we were able to beat them in the playoffs is crazy. When you are amazed at what you accomplished, and you're a world-class athlete,
remarkable. 3 wins on the road.
Yeah, after losing
3
game 1.
wins on the road.
Yeah, games 2, 5, and 7. Boom, boom, boom. 5 and 7 in overtime. And if you weren't with us, you know, we documented home teams, by the way, Stanley Cup playoffs are 18 and 31. 18 and 31. That's like 64% road team winning percentage. Game goes to overtime. Home teams are 3 and 11. Good luck explaining it. We have no idea. We followed the sport our whole lives. Mark worked in the sport for over 20 years. We have no idea. Can't explain it.
21,000 is the text line. If you want to chime into the show, 21000. FSN radio is the keyword. If you've never texted the show before, people chiming in about the poll question, people chiming in about the hockey. Miller and Moulton taking a lot of grief because we both picked the Boston Bruins. You know, the team that won the President's Cup, had the best record in the history of the league, and toyed with Florida in game 1 in the 3rd period. And we said, well, that was their chance. They're done.
Yeah. And when they were down 3-1, I don't remember catching any grief.
None.
I do remember actually getting one, text from someone that said, you know, you thought the Panthers would actually win 2 games in this series. That is true. I did pick the Bruins in 6. I did. I thought Florida might get one of the first 2 and be able to extend this series just a smidge. Silly me. Bruins up 3-1 at home, then with not 1 but 2 third period leads in game 6, and then with a third period lead in game 7.
Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable what the Panthers pulled off.
And by the way, thank goodness TNT had the game last night. Brendan Burke and Darren Pang were terrific. That's how you broadcast a hockey game. 4-letter network, take note.
And they're adding Lundqvist to the pre-post intermissions. I think he does a good job.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. You got a great goaltender breaking down goalies, explaining why goals are going in, where they missed why and where they missed the puck.
Right. Willing to, actually criticize them, or at least be critical, like a Bobrovsky with what was the go-ahead goal. He said, well, he was a little aggressive as a goalie when the shot's coming from distance. You're thinking about the rebound. As they're winding up, you're thinking about the rebound because you're like, well, we're going to stop this. It's just a matter of where's the rebound going to go. And he goes, because he came out too far, he couldn't get the rebound where he wanted. And also because he was out too far, it made it very difficult for him to get back over. If he was further back in his net, he could have done a better job with the rebound, and he would have had less room to cover to stop the rebound. And that's good television right there.
Absolutely. And it's, they're not always critical in the intermission shows of things. So it's nice when we get a little bit of critique in that manner.
Listen, this is how bat blank crazy yesterday was. Felipe, Mr. Miami Heat, okay, tweeting out on the Florida Sports Network Twitter handle a bunch of stuff about Jimmy Butler and the Heat, is wearing a Florida Panthers shirt / jersey, not a Jimmy Butler Miami Heat shirt / jersey. He's wearing a Florida Panthers shirt / jersey today.
And Felipe, there's plenty of room on the Florida Panther bandwagon.
This is unprecedented. 65 wins don't mean a dang thing without the ring. Come on. This is like if the 2016 Warriors had lost to the Blazers in the first round. Blew a 3-1 lead to the Blazers in the first round, which they eventually blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals, but that's not important. The Panthers are what's important.
I'm guessing they're the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Shall we?
It's that time.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
you're on camera and everything.
Just go.
The Panthers, they started off strong, went up 2-0. Bruins, they score 3 straight. Brandon Montour ties it with a minute left in overtime, and then
loose puck behind the net, loose to the side of the net, jamming away is Kachuk with Bennett along the near boards. Bennett finds it to the circle. Verhaeghe shot top shelf, he scores! Carter Verhaeghe top shelf, and the Panthers win in overtime! The Panthers stun the Bruins in Boston, and the Panthers are moving on to round 2! Carter Verhaeghe, the Panthers have won it in overtime! 4-3 the final! The Panthers take game 7, and they're moving on!
I'd like to play for you the Boston Bruins side of that
Jack
game
Edwards?
Winner. Oh, yes, Jack Edwards.
Oh, my goodness.
You've heard.
Verhaeghe wins the series for Florida, and this joyride ends in a Hindenburg-like ending. The Bruins are the second record-setting team in a row to drop the series in the first round.
Hindenburg-like ending for the Boston Bruins, who blew a 3-1 lead to the 8th-seeded Florida Panthers. But this wasn't a failure in the words of Giannis. This was just steps to success, right? Right. Not a failure.
Touche, Felipe. Touche.
That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K.
Oh, man.
Hindenburg.
Wow. That's
he couldn't even spit the words out at the end of that thing. He was so bothered.
Hindenburg, huh? Wow. That's a reference. That is a reference.
A few of the coaches may have to go look it up after. They won't even know what it is, but that's all right.
Exactly. Whew. And we talked about this too. Sometimes the luck of the draw and how a bracket opens up, and usually we think in terms of March Madness. But now, if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, you got the Florida Panthers between you and the conference finals.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun, smooth, like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ambient, if I had to pick somebody right now,
Toronto.
I'd pick Toronto, and might go Dallas, but maybe even Edmonton. This could be, right now, if I had to bet $20 on somebody to win the cup, I think I'd put it on the Leafs. It's why tonight's going to be just gut-wrenching for me. It is a staggering opportunity that's now before that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Because they will, without question, if they can get through tonight, have the best goalie in the playoffs. And it ain't close. Ain't close. The edge they'll have in goal the rest of the way. And with all their experience, but it just feels like one of those years. Remember the year we had Carolina Edmonton in the final? First year out of the lockout. It just feels like it's one of those years. Edmonton was an 8 seed. It's just crazy. I think they took out Yzerman in the wings. I got to admit, Edmonton's a handful. Did you see them on the power play against the Kings? They were 9 for 15 in the series. 60%.
That'll work.
Yeah. My only question about the Stars, can the Stars skate well enough to win the Cup?
God, I don't want them to win. They play a bunch of 2-1, 3-2 games. They're not that fun to watch.
Mike's on hold. I go, how you doing? He goes, good, yourself? I'm like, oh, just recovering from a crazy sports Sunday. He goes, yeah, it was really sad for me. I born and raised a Bruins fan. I said,
oh my God.
Well, glad we got that little bit of information.
I said, sorry, I'm saying this as I'm wearing a Panthers jersey. And he laughed a little bit, but yeah. Mike's a little sad right now. He said, turn the page to the Celtics. That's what I got for you. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. JP Peterson to join us at this time next hour. Look back on the Lightning. Where do they go from here? And also talk about the Tampa Bay Bucs draft. Mike Masala, kind enough to join us once again, covers the Dolphins for Dolphins Wire, which is part of the USA Today network. Follow Mike on Twitter, Mike_Masala, Masala. Mike, it's David and Mark once again. Normally I ask you how you're doing, but we know you grew up a Bruins fan. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We're kind of used to it at this point. Have had all these years. I'm not super old. 28, getting into my late 20s. But so I haven't seen a ton of success with that team. They won in 2011, and since then it's been a lot of depressing losses, big losses in championship games, big losses after having great seasons. So it's hard, but it's something we're used to at this point. And now I just got to turn my attention to the Celtics, I guess, and put all the rooting interest in that team.
I do got to ask one more Bruins question, just as the fan in you. When Florida tied it, what was the mood going into overtime? Did that cause you great? I mean, obviously it had to cause you great stress, but what was the mood heading into overtime after the Panthers tied it late?
Oh, it's exhausting. This has been a team for the last few years that consistently gives up goals with not much time left in quarters and in periods, and for it to be coming in the last game of the season, it was really tough. So again, and something we're used to, but something you don't want to be used to. And for that game to end the way it did, it was almost fitting for how they played in that series.
Well, Mike, we knew of all the people covering NFL beats that you were going to have maybe as stress-free a draft as possible because the Dolphins only had 4 picks and they didn't acquire any more. And yet, Mike, for a team that only had 4 picks, man, a lot of people were saying very good things about what Chris Greer and company did with the draft.
Yeah, I think anytime you can grab a cornerback who has the potential of a guy like Cam Smith late. A lot of people had him potentially hitting the end of the first round, and for him to be a second round guy who has high upside, and really his negatives are things that are coachable. It's the not grabbing onto guys and leading to the defensive penalties. That's something that with Vic Fangio, Sam Madison, the veteran leadership of Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey, hopefully he can be taught out of that. it's a little interesting to me that they ended up going the directions that they were going. When we talked, I believe on Friday last week, we kind of had talked about them attacking offensive line and tight end, which they did kind of address, but with their 2 later picks. And for them to go after 2 positions that they are at least kind of set on for the here and now in the with their first 2 selections, I was a little interested in that. It's almost like we heard from Marvin Allen and Chris Greer before the draft that they had used last year's draft as kind of a give these guys a year and then we'll really start to rely on them. It's almost like they're kind of doing that again with this year, with especially the Achane pick. I think him having to come in and a veteran running back room that has 4 guys already, you're kind of expecting him to jump off next year. And same thing with Smith. I mean, if everything breaks the way you want it to, he's the 3rd best cornerback on the roster this year. So it's interesting the way that they went about it, but I do think they got a lot of talented players even in a 4 draft pick draft.
Yeah, talk about this Higgins kid. He's a receiver that could be a tight end. I know that they, were looking for someone that could block more. This doesn't seem to be the guy, but he has great speed and the ability that they say on screens to be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a Mike Gesicki type guy. Obviously, he doesn't have the highly touted first-round pick, second-round pick pedigree that a guy like Mike Gesicki would have. But he's a big slot receiver who can block decent in space. He's not going to be an inline blocker, at least not yet. They're hoping maybe John Embry gets his hands on him and can mold him a little bit into something a little bit more formidable in that area. But he can be a decent pass catcher, and I think he should have a role on this team. It's just going to be who he beats out. Is it going to be Tanner Connor? Is it going to be Eric Sauber, who they signed this offseason? They still don't have that true number 1 tight end. And I don't see Higgins being that, especially not in his rookie year. But maybe he can turn into that in a couple of years with some good coaching again. But it's a decent project, another project for that position, because that's exactly what Tanner Connor was as an undrafted free agent last year.
Mike Masala, Dolphins Wire. Dolphins Wire. Follow Mike on Twitter, Mike_Masala, Masala. So Cam Smith went 51st overall in the 2nd round, cornerback, South Carolina. Devon Achane, and I may have mispronounced that, but he's a speedy back, and he's actually got he's very much in the Warwick Dunn mold, by the way, if you want to know what he's like. And he runs like a sub-4 340. They got him at 84. He's played at A&M. Elijah Higgins, who we just talked about, is the wide receiver, going to be a tight end out of Stanford. They got him in the 6th round. And then, Mike, they finally addressed offensive line. And, if you're going to draft offensive linemen, drafting them out of the Big Ten is not a bad place to go. Ryan Hayes, 7th-round pick from Michigan.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, he's a guy who's a 2-year left tackle starter from Michigan, 2 times part of the Joe Moore Award, top offensive line in the country, 2nd team all Big Ten twice. He's a solid offensive lineman. Again, just because he has only those 2 years, he's got a little bit of room to grow. Some people are projecting him to move into the interior with some shorter arms. I know that's usually a big issue for tackles at the NFL level. But for a guy that you can get in the 7th round, normally 7th round picks, you're projecting practice squad value or maybe bottom of the roster value. The Dolphins offensive line isn't set enough to earn him that status yet. Like, I think there's a potential that he could battle for a right tackle spot. He could battle for a left guard spot with Eichenberg or with Alvin Jackson on the right side. You could kind of see him doing a little bit of anything. And having that versatility will help him. That's exactly what happened with a guy like Robert Jones a couple of years ago, where he was a guy who came in not expecting to do anything, but because he could play guard and tackle, he earned himself a roster spot. And if Ryan Hayes can't start, he can definitely provide depth at multiple positions. And again, like you said, drafting from the Big Ten, a guy who's a starter for 2 years, 2nd team All Big Ten, twice in a row, like that's pretty good value for a 7th round pick.
Mike, what's next now between now and the start of camp? There's still a lot of free agents out there. What holes do you think they fill with the remaining free agents that are out there? And just where do they go next?
Yeah, I think those spots that they went into the draft, I still don't think they're fully set. Obviously, you're going to get another big chunk of change coming off the books with Byron Jones' official release post June 1st. So you can start to use that for. I think you're still looking at offensive line and tight end, and I don't think they solidified those positions yet. And if a veteran comes available, you'll see a lot of guys who are cut in right after that period of time or right around training camp. If you see a veteran that you like on the scrap heap, you go out and grab that position. I think either of those two spots should be upgraded. And then maybe you find a defensive lineman. Honestly, they're going into the season right now with Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, and Raekwon Davis, which is a great group in the interior. But all three of them are on the final years of their deals. You're going to hope that you can lock up at least two of those guys for the future, but nothing's a guarantee right now. So if something like that happens where a random defensive lineman who has some good tread left on his tires is out there and you can get him on a 2-3 year deal, maybe you do something like that. But I still think tight end and offensive line are the positions that you still need to look at even after the draft.
Mike, my final question is, it seems to me, and I'm not going to put them in this category in terms of how good they are, but just in terms of approach, it seems as if the Dolphins are like the Rams of 99 through 2003, where the Rams were the fastest team in the league. They weren't always the most durable, bulkiest. You could be physical with those Rams teams, but they were the greatest show on turf for a reason. They were the fastest team in the league. It almost seems as if, how ironic, Mike McDaniel, the Niners, who bludgeon people, he comes over and the Dolphins have seemingly putting together their idea of the greatest show on turf.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that comparison. They've had 2 speed guys last year, 3 speed guys last year, really, in Hill, Waddle, and Raheem Mostert. And now you add in Achane, who, as we mentioned, ran an incredible 40 time at the combine. He was the fastest offensive player and the 3rd fastest overall player behind 2 defensive backs in this year's combine. If you can get all these guys on the field at the same time, it's going to be a track meet. And I don't know if anybody in the Florida weather can keep up. You saw it last year when you had teams like Buffalo, and you've seen it with New England a bunch of times. When these teams come down to Miami Gardens, it's tough for these teams to have that preparation and be able to catch their breath and stay ready throughout the game. So if you can go out there and you can run teams off the field, you're going to be in a good spot. It's just how durable can you be, and we saw that be an issue last year. So if they can stay healthy, I think this team has a very high ceiling.
Mike Masala covers this team for the Dolphins Wire, which is part of the USA Today network. Follow Mike on Twitter, Mike_Masala, Masala. Be gentle with Mike today. He's a Bruins fan. Just be gentle with Mike today.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Mike Masala, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. I will say, for whatever it's worth, and it's worth nothing. It's like us making predictions. It's worth nothing. It's fodder. Mark, I did not see one person who gave the Dolphins less than a B grade. And usually that's tough to get a high grade when you have such few picks and you don't have a first rounder. But the people in the industry thought the Dolphins had a hell of a draft. There's a formula out there where guys were rated. And so they were expected this guy would get drafted here. And then they chart the teams as to where they took players and they give them a plus or minus value. Take a guy 20 picks after we thought he would go, that's a plus value. Take a guy 20 picks early, that's a minus value. Dolphins top 10. And they only had 4 players to acquire value with. I mean, that's how, Giants, by the way, in that formula graded out as getting the best value of the draft, which I thought was interesting. But Dolphins were top 10 in terms of the value they got from just 4 guys.
And what we really should be doing on days like today is looking back at the 2020 draft and see how it actually went, because then you can sit there and look and say, well, right, that was a really good draft. They did well.
Right.
Like you said, this is all speculation. We have no idea. So but they got after.
Oh, yes, they did. And the thought is, by the way, the corner they drafted, if they are going to move on from X after this year for financial reasons, maybe Cam Smith shows enough in practice, they can cut the Auburn first-round pick from a few years ago, Agbayani, who's been a big disappointment. So a couple of quick football notes. May 11th, a week from Thursday. That's the projected date the NFL is going to release their schedule. Week from Thursday, the 11th. And boy, they threw this news out there late last week when the whole NFL draft was going on. But the College Football Playoff Committee, Mark, Remember we were talking about scheduling? How are they going to do this? Well, apparently in 2024, first year of the 12-team playoff, yeah, they're going to go first round, third week of December. So first weekend will be conference championship weekend. Second weekend will be Army-Navy. And then the third weekend. Well, that's when the NFL schedules a bunch of Saturday games. And the college football playoff is going to go head-to-head with the NFL. The 4 first-round games, one's going to be Friday, 3 on Saturday, head-to-head with the NFL. Does that seem like a good idea?
Not when the week before didn't have Saturday games.
So then they're going to try to stay away from the NFL if they can. Like I think semifinals, they're going to try to put midweek. But they looked at the calendar. We thought they would take on Army-Navy. They would, just say, sorry, don't know what to tell you. We need the weekend, But for right now, they're not ready to do that.
So 1 Friday, 3 Saturday.
Right.
Noon, 4 and 8, probably.
No doubt. What still hasn't been worked out is what network. ESPN has the rights, but obviously the playoff committee is going to want more money. And ESPN right now is Disney's getting rid of 7,000 employees. So,
They're certainly clearing out the space if they need it.
Oh, yeah, there's that. So that's just some football notes. NFL schedule in 10 days and the college football playoff committee. Well, year one could be busy.
To say the very least.
Right. So we'll see if it works. Also, that third weekend in December, that could be the weekend before Christmas. I mean, I don't exactly know how December 2024 lays out, but, that's probably the weekend before Christmas. Do you want to be traveling to go see, Iowa play LSU in a 7-10 matchup?
If I was in the playoff, they'll travel, David.
Well, that is true.
That's for certain. And we know LSU will travel.
Yeah, that's true. That was a bad example by me.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. More on the other side right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Oh, it's the Bruins, Canada Relief. It's the Bruins. There's 40 points between those two teams.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I answered Canada. It's the Bruins. There's 42 points between those two teams.
Oh, the Bruins, Canada Relief. I mean, the Avs had injuries. They hadn't replaced their second line center. So the Blades are up 3-2. Jacksonville's up 3-2. I told Pat, I said, you like to travel for the Blades. I go, what do you say? The ECHL division final? If I come down for a game, will you come up for a game?
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton, at least along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Halfway home in the 239. Thanks for waking up with us, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. JP Peterson talk some Lightning and some Bucs coming up in a little less than 40 minutes time. Steph goes for 50. Warriors stay alive, win a Game 7 on the road. They haven't had to do a lot of that during this run, although they did do it once in Houston against an injured Chris Paul and James Harden and the Rockets in a conference final. No one has ever scored 50 in a Game 7 before. The Panthers take down the mighty Bruins. Overtime of Game 7. Is there anything, by the way, anything that you can think of that is better than a Game 7 that goes overtime in all of sports?
No, not in the sporting world.
You know, you could argue a World Series game, extra innings, you know, those of us
Overtime in a Super
age.
Bowl. I mean, we've,
right. We had one of those, you know, the 91 Game 7 Twins Braves, you know, it's scoreless. I mean, every pitch potentially is the series. You know, Cubs and Indians. 7 years ago, Game 7 went to extras. I mean, it's tough to write a better script. But man, oh man, Game 7 of a hockey series going OT.
The sudden death part of it is just so great. And last night, Tkachuk had the opportunity early in the overtime.
He had the breakaway. It's a kid from Massachusetts coming in one-on-one on the Bruins goalie. Save Swayman.
And the irony of them winning the President's Cup last year, getting ousted in the playoffs, and this year doing the same to Boston.
And Bobrovsky, who was the goalie for Columbus 4 years ago when they shocked the President's Trophy winning Lightning, ends up not the goalie at the start of this series, but ends up being the goalie at the end of this series. And he played well in Game 7, I'll tell you that. He played well in Game 7. So did Swayman, I thought. The first goal, but I thought, I mean, he made 3 point-blank stops in overtime. The Panthers
got the breakaway in overtime, David.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he played fine.
But I'm with you. The first goal that he gave up was a little on the soft side.
It was. Shaky.
I don't think he was ready for the speed that was coming up ice there on that play.
Neither were his teammates, bro.
No.
And then Jimmy buckets in the Heat down 11 after the first quarter, and they go, we can figure this out. We'll get some defense going. We'll slow them down. We're without Hero. They're without Randall. We'll take that. We can work with that. And Miami comes from behind. Big third quarter run to take the lead for good. Knicks got within 3, I think, late. But 108-101 Heat. They win Game 1 of that series. Game 2 tomorrow night. Meanwhile, Game 1 tonight, Sixers Celtics. Looks like Embiid. Listen, from what we've seen in the playoffs, it's tough, I guess, to discount anybody. But first off, if Embiid is doubtful for Game 1, and the betting line shows it, right? Aren't the Celtics like huge favorites?
10-point favorite.
Yeah. So Vegas thinks he's not playing, considering Doc Rivers came out 2 days ago and said he's doubtful. Which means that even if he comes back, I mean, he ain't going to be 100% at any point in time in this series. It's not possible. You can't miss Game 1 and by Game 5 be fine. It's just so even when he comes back, he's going to be 70, 80% of himself. How the hell are they going to beat the Celtics with a 75% Joel Embiid?
And more than likely have to do it from a hole.
So you got that going on in the East. And oh, by the way, it's Steph against LeBron in the second round out West. If anybody has any interest in that at all. Can we just point out a difference between basketball and hockey? Did you hear what happened Friday night in Seattle. So the Kraken were trying to eliminate the Avs. And Colorado dominated the game. I think they won like 4-1 or something like that. But there was a hit early in the second period where Jordan Eberle of Seattle, with a dirty hit from behind on Colorado forward Andrew Cogliano. Cogliano goes sprawling into the boards. Dangerous, dirty hit. Eberle gets penalized, not suspended for Game 7, by the way, which that upset the Avs, and I don't blame them. Did you hear the injury that Cogliano suffered?
I did not.
Suffered a broken neck. Fractured the C5 lamina in his neck. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know what the hell that is, but did I mention he broke his neck?
Mm-hmm.
That was early in the second period.
Right.
He went into the locker room. I just have to imagine it hurt like a blankety blank. He came back out and played the third period. Then they took a look at the x-rays and they went, damn, he's got a broken neck. We can't send him back out there. And after the game, they said he was out indefinitely. But to review, dirty hit from behind, goes sprawling into the boards, lucky to walk away from it, goes into the locker room, gets some medical treatment. They take some tests, comes back with a broken neck, plays the third period.
So let me get this straight. Winnipeg had a guy get how many stitches and come back and play 75 stitches or whatever it was, 65 stitches, something like that.
Correct. Missed a period.
Right.
He did. Missed
But
about a
came back and
period of
finished the
play.
third.
Of course he did. He's a hockey player. It's what we do.
And you'll hear any of the interviews today. That was the key word you had there, David. We.
Yep.
Not a lot of I's in the game of hockey. A lot more we's.
And remember, these guys are barely getting paid for this. Their salary is a regular season thing. And their playoff stipend, this ain't World Series, NFL, NBA stipends here. No, this is the National Hockey League. No, this is much less. I mean, above the WNBA and the MLS, but far below the other three. Right. 77 stitches. He missed about 15 minutes of game action. A broken neck. He missed the rest of the second period. He came back for the third. Right.
Amazing.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing.
It's why, and I know most of you are not hockey fans. You don't get into it, what have you. You like it when you go, but watch it on TV. It's just not your thing. I mean, there are those of us that contend this is the greatest thing sports has going for it. The battle for Lord Stanley's Cup. Then you throw in a team that finished 43 points behind another, beating them in a best of 7. Remember, best of 7, there's no flukes, right? That's what we all said, Mark. You got a best of 7 series. You can't say they got lucky. It was a fluke. It was a best of 7.
No, down 3-1.
Right.
Won 2 of those games on the road.
Correct. In overtime. Trailed in the third period of game 6s and 7. Correct. Right. So it's just some of what's out there. Steph with 50, Jimmy Buckets in the Heat. I can't believe Jimmy Buckets in the Heat got knocked off the front page. I just didn't think that was possible. They beat the Knicks, for goodness sakes. You know how much Miami sports fans hate everything about New York, even though half of them, their families came from New York? It's remarkable.
Text flying in the show today. People being really sympathetic towards Boston. I really do feel bad for Boston fans. Couldn't have happened to a nicer fan base.
Oh, boy.
Yep. This person says it's Steph as far as our poll question. Said if Fox did that or somebody else did, we'd be going crazy about it. But because it's Steph, it's just Steph.
What? I don't agree with that at all.
He thought Steph was the greatest one. That some of that we're not making this the greatest story of the weekend because it's 50 and it's Steph. It would have been somebody else who would have made a bigger deal. That was his point.
It's not even something Steph has ever done.
No, it's the most points anybody's ever scored in a Game 7.
Right. Durant had 48 in a Game 7 in a loss, by the way, but Steph with 50 in the win. And for those of us, if we think the Lightning dynasty probably run, which goes back to when? 2015. The Lightning made the Stanley Cup final in 2015. When did this run/dynasty start for the Warriors? Warriors won the title in 2015. The Lightning lose in the first round, Game 6 in overtime at home. There's a feeling this run as a championship contender may be over. Well, when the Warriors got beat by 19 at home in Game 6, how many people thought maybe the Warriors' run as a championship contender is over? Or at least was on the line yesterday, right, Mark?
Right. Oh, 100%.
I mean, come on. If they lose that game, they get ousted in 7 by Sacramento. What's the narrative today?
That the dynasty's over. I mean, even, listen to the post-game comments. They had Kerr's locker room comments out there. And he's like, that's why you guys are champs. You could tell the way he was speaking. He knew the importance of that game, of what they have accomplished before that and what last night or yesterday afternoon meant to them.
And now they got a Lakers team. They can beat the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are also looking at Golden State going, we can beat them. This ain't the 2020 Lakers and the 2015 Warriors either. I mean,
these are flawed teams. They were 6 and 7 seeds.
And LeBron's 38 and Steph's turning 35. Right. But, this could be our thrill in Manila here. I mean, these two have played in the finals 4 times. Combined, they've played in 11 of the last 12 NBA finals, these two? I mean, this could be our thrill in Manila.
It will be a really good series. The problem is they will all start at 10:40 at night.
No. This is when you wish. Remember the old days, NBC used to just dictate the schedule, and they'd force teams to play on both Saturdays and Sundays?
In the middle of the day.
Yeah, totally. Right. We'll play 3:30 one day, 1 o'clock the next. Back-to-back days. Well, why are we playing back-to-back? Because we want to televise them on the weekend. That's why. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You got anything else out there on the text line?
Let's see here.
Just to say we're getting a bunch.
Well, that was just they're all over the place. Live Golf was pretty good. Couple of Leafs fans in there.
Well, first off, we were specific about the poll question. We said Sunday.
No. That they're not responding to the poll question. They're just responding.
Okay.
Happy about the Leafs.
Gotcha.
Calm down. They're just merely texting the show about what has them the happiest.
God, have they stopped drinking yet? God, if I was a Leafs fan, I'd be drunk. Do you have to go into work today as a Leafs fan just so that you can all share in the common joy?
Yes.
I mean, nothing gets done before lunch today, right?
No.
North of the border, nothing. Boy, the NHL's rooting for the Rangers tonight like you would not believe. I mean, Colorado gets eliminated. Boston gets eliminated. Tampa Bay gets eliminated.
The Athletic doesn't do trendy headlines. That's not their their game. Bruins join the Mount Rushmore of collapses. Plus Steph's legendary moment. That's the Pulse that they send out.
Mm-hmm.
That's their headline for the Pulse. I mean, they put the Florida they put the Bruins ahead of Steph.
Oh, I think it's the biggest story of the weekend. Listen, there are many teams that have really struggled in the first round and gone on to win the cup. I mean, Patrick Kane told the story the other day in which he said, in 2013, we were the President's Trophy winners and we cruised through the first round. And in the second round, we found ourselves down 3-1. He goes, and like 2 of the next 3 games went overtime. And we got out of the second round. He goes, we ended up winning the cup. He goes, obviously, we were a goal away from being eliminated. I mean,
since then, it's the Rangers in round 3 is the farthest conference finals, is the farthest any President's Trophy has gone.
Is that 2012? The Rangers who got beat by the Devils in 2012. I think we won the President's Trophy that year.
I thought it was a little later than that, David, but I thought it was like 2015.
Oh, okay. Lightning beat them in 2015. Maybe they in the conference finals, game 7.
DC, where'd you share that?
It's just scroll up.
Oh.
Oh, Adam, are you serious? It's South Florida. Panthers get through to the conference final. You wait to see the wagon.
7-minute rant.
Who?
This DC put up this White Sox fan who went off on ESPN Chicago. I just clipped on there. It's a 7-minute rant.
Wow.
At least the clip that they have up there is 7 minutes.
I saw something yesterday that no team in Major League Baseball history has lost more games before May than the Oakland Athletics.
Does need to be pointed out the season did start March 30th, which is about as early as it's ever started. But yes.
They are 6-23. They won last night.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour." Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. JP Peterson, he of the JP Peterson Show in the Tampa Bay area. He will join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. The disappointment of the Lightning being sent packing in the first round. A third straight home overtime loss, which is a trend. Home teams are 18-31 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 18-31. That's basically 64% the road team's winning percentage. And in overtime, it's even better than that. Road teams are 11-3. The Lightning, 3 of those 11.
And obviously, if you're betting underdogs, but I mean, even during the game, the live odds, and they kept throwing the DraftKings live odds at us all night last night, David. Right up to the overtime, which DraftKings was giving the Florida Panthers no chance.
Right.
They were plus 125 in the overtime. Boston was minus 155 in a tied game, obviously.
Carter Verhaeghe for the Panthers. They move on. You pointed out something. You and I both subscribe to The Athletic. Terrific content. Horrible website. I mean, the content's so good, we continue to pay for it, even though their website is like throw your phone frustrating. But we digress. Maybe they'll figure it out one day. The New York Times purchased them. Their website is, workable. Maybe they'll actually have some of their people work on the Athletics. We digress. But they had a headline which caught your attention.
Yes, they did. Bruins join the Mount Rushmore of collapses.
Wow.
And they don't write headlines to grab you to click. That's
No.
not what they're about.
No, they're not a click. They're not Bleacher Report. No, they're not. It's funny. I know up 3-1 and you're the best and you're the number one seed and all that. I know it's a collapse, but man, Florida played so well. I have to admit, I'm giving Florida a lot of credit for this. I mean, Boston's obviously a really good team, and they've got a lot of playoff experience. When's the last time you saw an opponent forecheck the Bruins into the ground? And there were long stretches, Mark, in this series where the Florida Panthers were forechecking the Bruins into the ice. That doesn't happen to the Boston Bruins. You can outskate them. You can have better goaltending. You don't out-forecheck the Bruins. And the Panthers did.
On the same line, Boston last night, with the exception of really the third period, when they got the lead, had incredible difficulty getting their forecheck going.
Right. Panthers just cleared the puck. Up the boards, clear the puck, chase it down.
Played really simple hockey.
Yeah, up the boards, clear the puck, chase it down. Yep. But yeah, Boston was up 3-1. Had third period leads in game 6 and 7. And not only that, to add even more insult to, pain here, there's a chance they could lose. I mean, I don't know, the 3 best players. I mean, Patrice Bergeron, the word is he's done. He stayed on the ice, by the way, hugged everybody.
Right.
Saluted all his, hugged all his teammates before they left the ice. Brad Marchand's 50-50. He all but said after the game, I have no idea how I'm going to play without Bergeron being in the room. And David Krejci is like 36, 37 years old. He's already left the country, gone back home, taken years off, and then came back.
Well, they could run it back one more time because, they're going to have a lot more time in the offseason than they expected.
Yeah. The Bruins and the Lightning both. Yep. Certainly have did not think they'd have first week of May tee times. That is for sure.
Although the Lightning were not picked to win the series.
But internally, they didn't think. I mean, when's the last time they played golf in May? I mean, the pandemic, quite frankly, because we weren't doing anything. But it's been 4 years since they played golf in May. But they have no idea what to do with themselves this week. What do you mean we're not playing? No, there's no practice today. What? They have $2.4 million in cap room and no draft picks. Honestly, they have like a 6th and a 7th rounder. They don't have like a first 3 draft pick for 3 years. They have no money, no prospects, and no draft picks.
Other than that, things are looking rosy.
Right. I honestly don't know what plan B is. Part of why we're going to bring JP Peterson on in 10, 12 minutes. He follows this closely. We're going to say, what the hell do they do?
And who's could be done there?
Yeah, they keep getting rid of 1 or 2 guys every year. Who would be the 1 or 2 guys they unload this year? But, Mark, you do look at it, how close the fine line is. I mean, come on. If the Bruins score that goal last night and get out of the first round, they could win the Cup.
If the Bruins just finished the deal, they didn't have to score in overtime. They had to get out of the game.
Right. But you know what I mean.
No, I know. I mean, one goofy deflection cost them in regulation.
And if you're the Lightning, you're a Lightning fan right now. You know deep down Toronto, this is the best team you faced in the first round in a while. You know that. But you also know, for goodness sakes, outside of game 2, we actually carried the play in games 3, 4, 5, and 6. We had the edge in play in 5 of the 6 games in this series. We lost all 3 games at home in overtime? What are the odds of that? We don't even win one of them? That would at least force a game 7. With all the pressure on them, we beat them in a game 7 there last year. I mean, if you're a Lightning fan and you know this is the worst team you've brought to the dance in 4 or 5 years, and you're like, man, we were like 2 bounces away from getting out of the first round. If we got out of the first round, we could go to the finals. I mean, they'd be playing the Panthers, for goodness sakes. How ridiculous would that have been? We got Lightning Panthers last year. We were expecting it. We were 2 bounces away from getting Lightning Panthers again this year.
Which is really too bad. Because you're right. The Lightning, for the first time ever, the Lightning lost because they did not have the better goaltender.
Yeah.
In that series, they did not have the better goaltender.
No.
If it's a one-off, it's a one-off. But Vasilevsky was not the best goaltender in the series. And that's why they lost. That's as matter of fact as I can be about that series, David.
And had trouble scoring at the end of the day. Couldn't score. Could not score. But Jimmy Buckets in the Heat. Felipe, be honest. Be honest. Before game 1 yesterday, internally, what was your pick on the series?
Before game 1?
Yeah. 1 o'clock yesterday. If my $20, what would you have bet?
Well, there was a report that Randall was out, so
Okay,
I knew that it was a golden opportunity. So
that's
I
fine.
picked a Heat win.
No. For the series.
Oh, for the series.
Yeah. Quickly.
Heat and 7.
1 o'clock yesterday. You were picking Heat in 6, 7?
7.
Heat and 7.
Okay.
They close out in the Garden. Jimmy Butler, the lights are never too bright for him.
I like it. I had Knicks in 7 at 1 o'clock yesterday. Mark, don't know what your gut told you about that series.
My gut told me the Knicks because they're deeper. But they're also banged up, and it's hard to figure out health-wise what's going on in this NBA postseason because nobody can stay healthy. Miller and Moulton. We'll talk Bucs draft and Lightning next with JP Peterson right here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Napa Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, supposedly tomorrow, Dad. Did you see my quarterbacks in the transfer portal?
Yeah. And so's the receiver.
Right.
On the very last moment that you can enter the portal, too.
Right. Don't think there was any tampering going on, do you?
Well, apparently what happened is that the kid's losing his job in spring ball. And so that's why he decided to bail. That's what I read. That it was at best a dogfight.
Yeah, and that's what I read too. He had a bad year last year. The year before, he was good.
He was good. Well, had Kenneth Walker. That helps.
Yeah.
That helps.
It does. He's leaving a message. He's not answering.
He texted me.
Left a voicemail. I'll call him back. I'll let you know. Come back now.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. JP Peterson scheduled to join us in a couple moments. We'll talk Lightning and Bucs. By the way, we have not talked the draft because of how amazing the weekend was. So, Hendon Hooker to Detroit in the third round. What do you think?
The Lions were nuts with their draft. I thought they were all over the place, but the GM Holmes there said, hey, his job this year is to get healthy and learn. So I like the pick for where they got him.
It's funny. I actually think the Lions had a lot of good players that they got out of the first 3 rounds of their draft. I just think they're ready to win now, and they needed more immediate help on defense. But the whole league seems to be emphasizing offense, so who knows? Maybe it'll work. JP Peterson, kind enough to join us right now. He is host of the JP Peterson Show, fanstreamsports.com, fanstreamsports.com. Follow JP on Twitter at fanstreamjp. JP, it's David and Mark. How are you?
Good morning, fellas. I would like for the rest of this interview for you guys to refer to me as Servassier Peterson, because that is the greatest name in the history of the NFL. That's all I'm going to say.
How does that go? We want to get the pronunciation correct. How does that go?
Think about it, guys. David, Mark, John. Our parents were either drunk or boring when they named us. I wanted Servassier. That's what I wanted to be go through life. People calling me Servassier. Wouldn't you?
High expectations with a name like that, JP. Very high expectations.
Yes, indeed.
Fifth round.
How are you guys?
We are good. Servassier Dennis, by the way, linebacker, 5th round pick. One of the, 8 picks that Tampa Bay had. All right, let's go back to the Bucs then. Let's start there. This was not a sexy draft, man. This was a trenches goober. This draft had the personality of their head coach, if you know what I mean. But was it a good draft?
I might have to steal that for my show today. I was less than thrilled with the draft overall. I think there were a lot of players on the board that could have helped them out a lot. That being said, I think since Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles and that whole crew got here, Jason Light has been a better drafter. I think he's gotten better, obviously, as he's gone on. I like a lot of stuff about these individual players. I really like Kalijah Cansey. I know a lot of people were talking offensive tackle. Which honestly, Tally wanted an offensive tackle, clearly. That's my dog. But I think that they don't think that there was a tackle on the board that's better than the two guys that they have in-house in Robert Hainsey and Gedeke. So why take one? And I think also you have to you look at some of the quarterbacks that were drafted and the quarterbacks that play in this league now. I think the days of you need a plugger like Vita Vea, big 350-pound tackle, but you need athleticism up front. And Kalijah Cansey is an incredible athlete at 281 pounds. Obvious comparisons to Aaron Donald. I like the way the kid plays. You watch the tape, he gets underneath guys that are much bigger than him. He moves them. He's extremely athletic, can run down. And Todd Bowles likes athletic defensive linemen that can drop into pass coverage. You know, it's a new world out there in defense and in the NFL with quarterbacks like Anthony Richardson running around. And Kalijah Cansey is going to make you a much better defensive football team. It'll make your rush better because you'll get more one-on-ones outside, and they don't have great outside rushers. So I like that pick. The second-round pick, the guy's got no two front teeth. It's a funny story. He looks like a mauler. They drafted Gedeke last year. It didn't work out in that spot either. So, but there are some other guys down the road. I like the speed they got in the receiver in the 6th round from Nebraska. Trey Palmer, 4-3. That's a need that they had. So this is a real wait-and-see draft. I'm with you guys. It's kind of boring, but it's a real wait-and-see draft.
Yeah, Palmer can be a return guy as well. And I think I think that the tackle's a good pick because he's versatile. They can play him inside, they can play him outside, and they need offensive line help, JP.
Yeah, Jason Light hit on Alex Kappa. He hit on Ali Marpet, these small school guys. But, last year, Gedeke didn't work out. They put him at left guard, which I think was a bad idea from the start. We'll see. I like drafting offensive linemen from the SEC and the Big Ten, but we'll see if this one works out. Certainly a great personality.
Cody Mock, North Dakota State, 2nd-round pick by the Bucs, and there's some debate: is he a tackle or is he a guard? What do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to move Wirfs over and give Mock the chance at right tackle, or do you think they're going to put him inside?
I think they'll move him inside and let him compete at guard. But he is versatile. Just good points he had there. No, Tristan Wirfs is moving to the left side, and I just don't anticipate that being a problem at all. I think he's the best tackle in the game right now. Incredibly athletic, huge. And then Gedeke will play it right, or Hainsey will play it right.
All right,
they're both right tackles in college.
Let's switch gears to the ice. The Bolts go down in the 1st round. JP, I've never said this. I don't recall saying this, and I think this is the first time I've had to say it, is that Tampa did not have the better goaltender in that series, and we've not had to deal with that with Vasilevsky since he's been there.
Guys, I would agree with you on the surface. Samsonov played great, but watching every minute and probably watching all these games twice, and there were a couple that Vasi let in. Yes, the tying goal in Game 3 and the winner in Game 3 were both bad goals. Other than that, most of them were tip-ins that no goaltender is going to get. So he wasn't at his best. And let's be honest, when Vasi's not at his best, the Lightning are kind of an average, above average team. I thought the Lightning were the better team. The 5-on-5, I think the analytics will show you that without question. Your eye test will tell you that without question. You got to hand it to Samsonov. He made the saves when he had to. So many opportunities that the Lightning had. They shot it right in his chest a lot of the time. I remember him making a couple of good saves here and there, but for the most part, the Lightning missed the net. They threw it right into his chest. They hit him between the eyes one time when they had the whole net to shoot at. They just did not. They couldn't convert their opportunities. They had so many opportunities. There were times in games when they should have been up 3-0, 4-0 in the first period. They come out maybe 1-1 or no score at all, and that's hockey. I mean, look at what the Panthers did to Boston. It's so hard to continually win series in this league, and the Lightning won 11 out of 12 and 2 cups and went to 3 finals in 3 years. That just shows me more than anything else how hard it is to be consistent in this league in hockey. A tough series.
it's also remarkable that the Lightning have done all the winning that they've done in the last 4 years, and they're 1-11 in their last 12 overtime games, or 1-10 in their last 11 playoff overtime games. It's remarkable. But, JP, you're right. We talked about it. Outside of the Game 2 blowout loss, the Lightning had the edge in play in the 5 other games, and obviously only won 2 of them. You combine that fact with the fact that they don't have any cap money and they don't have any young prospects really to bring up join the main club. I don't know that this roster changes. They just get more rest, play some more golf than they're used to, and let's do it again.
Yeah, I think the core of the roster is still really good. And when you start going through the ages, they're still a very, these guys are in their prime. Vasilevsky's 28, Kucherov's 29, Braden Point is 27, Tanner Jeannot is 24, but Sergachev is 24 years old, believe it or not. Hedman's 32, but, defensemen can play well into their late 30s. I think that the school bus line, Perry, Belmar, and Maroon, I think they'll probably be gone. I'm not sure they're coming back. So they've got to find some younger guys, some speed in there. They brought in Asimon. I think he's going to be a good player. They got Barboulay and some others down at Syracuse that aren't terrible. Hey, they found 2 defensemen this year in Perbix and Radish who are going to be cheap for them, but top 6 defensemen. So I think that helps their cap a lot. And those 2 guys were huge surprises. And they were the better team. I mean, Toronto won 111 points this year, right? They went out and got 6 guys at the deadline, and they still weren't the better team in this series. So I don't think the Lightning are going anywhere. I have a lot of faith in Brisebois that he's going to be able to fill in these other places. They still got a great core with Vassy and Hedman and Sergachev and Chernak, who didn't play the whole series after a cheap shot. Let's not forget that. They've still got some young players, and Nick Paul needs to be a hell of a lot better. Hagel is a guy that they've gotten in the last couple of years. That's another good young player. So I wouldn't write them off just yet. I don't think they're too old. The core is still here. They need the rest more than anything. You're absolutely right about that. And I think that's going to make a big difference next year. They've just played too much hockey.
Yeah, and you throw in the fact the pandemic year that they didn't finish until September. On top of all of that play, it has been exhausting for the Lightning over this time. I mean, that's the thing I think people don't really understand is just how short that window was in these 3 years, unlike any other time.
Yeah, and they've condensed hockey. I mean, they've played an extra season in the last 3 years, and it's playoff hockey. It's not regular season hockey. It's playoff hockey. So you can, when you're around these guys, especially in the playoffs sometimes and late, at times in the season, you could just see how mentally and physically exhausted they are cumulatively over the last 3 years. And I think you're going to see a whole different team when they hit the ice in October.
JP, very quickly, I agree with you. I don't think they can afford to bring the veterans back who all agreed to play relatively cheaply. But is there anybody else? Is there a Ryan McDonough move they're going to have to make? Is there somebody they're just going to give away for a 5th-round pick because they need the cap room?
No, they're good. The core is still good. I think Killorn is a guy that, if he wants to go take a big payday, he can. I don't sense he's that kind of guy. He really loves Tampa. I mean, he is like the king of the world here. So, I mean, he could go chase a couple more million AAV, and a lot of different places I think would pay him. But I think he might take less money just to stay here because he's so entrenched within the community. He's a little bit older. Why move now? Maybe there'll be a nice offer out there. He's a Harvard guy. He's not. His personality doesn't strike me as a guy that wants to go out and chase money. He's got 2 cups. He loves it here. So, but we'll see with Killorn. I think he's the only big name that they might lose in the offseason.
And finally, JP, did you want Tampa Bay to take Hendon Hooker late in the 2nd round or no?
100% I did. Absolutely. I've been banging the drum for Hendon Hooker the entire draft season. I think this kid is an elite thrower of the football. He's a little thin for me. I'd like him to be a little bit sturdier, but I think, 80 touchdowns against 7 interceptions or some ridiculous number at Tennessee the last 2 years. But you turn on the tape, and I challenge you to find a better pure thrower of the football in this draft. I know Anthony Richardson's got a gun, but he's not as accurate as Hendon Hooker. Neither is, Bryce Young doesn't have the power and the deep ball that this kid has. I think he's phenomenal, and I think they missed an opportunity with getting him So I agree with you. I would have loved to see them either come back in to get Hendon Hooker. I mean, look, they don't have a quarterback under contract next year. It's kind of an important position. So I agree with you. I wish they would have got him.
He's JP Peterson, and later today he'll be hosting the JP Peterson Show, fanstreamsports.com, fanstreamsports.com. Follow JP on Twitter, fanstreamjp, fanstreamjp. JP, appreciate it. Feed that dog, and we'll talk to you soon.
Servassier from now on, guys.
Servassier, thank you.
Get it right.
JP Servassier Peterson. We'll just call him JPS. Servassier Dennis, the linebacker out of Pitt that they took in the 5th round. They had 2 5ths and 3 6ths, as it turned out, in this draft.
He's right, though. Everything I've read about the Palmer kid, the receiver from Nebraska, took in the 6th round, could be their return man. You know,
Well, and ask a Bucs fan. They have not had a return game basically since the franchise started. For whatever reason, the Bucs have struggled in the return game.
And there's not that many of them. So it'd be nice to have a guy when you get the opportunity, especially playing in Florida. The ball goes in the end zone a lot there.
I have to admit, the tight end out of Purdue, I kind of got the Big Ten championship game in my head. I thought that kid was a handful. Purdue hung with Michigan for 3 quarters. I thought the quarterback and the tight end were the reason why. The Bucs drafted the tight end, Payne Durham. That's an interesting pick for me. He was a late 5th rounder.
Well, and there was talk of value at that position into the 5th round. It was a deep tight end draft, David, so you might be onto something there.
But they went defensive tackle, offensive line, linebacker, tight end, DB, wide receiver, linebacker. 3 linebackers out of their 8 picks.
We'll see how many make the team.
Well, they may need to save some money on that side of the ball, though. I will say this. If you're a young guy, the 2 linebackers, the one guy's entering the final year of his contract, the other's entering the end of his career. Maybe that's why they drafted so many of them. They're thinking 24, 25.
Miller and Moulton, Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, Venice. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. For those of you in the 239, the bonus hour is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com. Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Bourbon. High buried in bourbon. We really shouldn't be surprised about how amazing April specifically was. Because if you recall, the very first thing that happened in April was San Diego State beating FAU on a buzzer beater. That was April 1st.
Canada Relief, March and October are supposed to be the best months for sports. And April was, we tweeted out this morning, if March was madness, April was amazing. Brian, watching it live, I didn't see it, but somebody condensed it and sent it out on Twitter.
What was the graphics? I didn't see it either.
Well, whenever they listed the score up top, Florida in red and Boston in black.
Right.
And when one of the two teams scores, then that team, it gets replaced with score.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like in the NFL when they score a touchdown and the graphic appears on the bottom of the screen. Well, I guess 5 seconds before the Panthers scored, for whatever reason, Florida turned into a score. I think it was somebody with the Athletic mark. I was just reading for a moment. Somebody wrote what we had talked about.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday, May 1st. How the heck are you? How was your weekend? How have you handled these last 2 months? If March was magnificent with all the madness, April was amazing. What the heck is May going to do to try to keep up?
By the way, we really shouldn't be surprised that April was this amazing because I don't know if you guys recall, but April 1st, San Diego State beat FAU on a buzzer beater.
That's true. The Final Four. Saturday was April 1st. Yeah, but I mean, think about it. We started off with a national semifinal. That was a buzzer beater. And we ended up with the road teams yesterday in the NBA and the NHL playoffs, Mark, going 4-0. Defending champions being taken out. Best teams in the league being taken out. A performance in basketball which literally had never been done before. That's all on the same day. Damn.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
We get a game 7 tonight. Rangers Devils.
2 greatest words in sports, game 7.
Let's see. How many did we have yesterday? 2?
3.
Right? 3? Yeah.
3.
How'd the home teams do?
0-3.
There you go. Right. That's amazing.
0-3. Throw in the
going
Heat winning on the road. 0-4 were the home teams yesterday.
Right.
All the
Yeah.
importance. You play all year for home field, home ice, home court advantage.
Right. By the way, do you have a problem with this? Like, if this were to continue and you were running a league, would you? I have no idea what you could do, but I'm just in generalities.
I'll tell you this much. I think reseeding will get talked about again. I mean, the NHL, I know a lot of folks that don't like the way that their playoff system runs, that they would rather have it be 1 through 8 in the conferences.
Okay. Now, the irony, of course, is Boston would have played Florida. Just so you know, that for the 2 wild card teams, all right, they usually have less points than any of the 3 automatics in either division. So usually the first 2 of the 4 matchups in each conference is what would happen. 1-8, 2-7. You know, Carolina and the Islanders would have played, right? Or would Toronto have been?
No, I think Toronto would have.
So it would have been Toronto and the Islanders.
No, you're right. You know, Carolina was the 2. They had 113 points. The Devils would have been the 3. Toronto would have been the 4. It would have been Toronto and the Rangers. It would have been the Devils and the Lightning, and the other 2 series would have been the same.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. You know, remember, all this has happened in the first round. First round of the NHL ends tonight. Second round of the NBA obviously got underway over the weekend with Denver whooping Phoenix. To a lot of people, the second round will get underway tonight. But I do think you could make the case that they should reseed after the first round. Even though Felipe's team, the Heat, and my team, the Knicks, both benefit by no reseeding. The Heat would play Boston, the Knicks would play the Sixers, and they'd play the Sixers without a healthy Embiid. And yes, they don't have Julius Randle.
The Lakers right now. Think about the difference in the West. Denver would be playing the Lakers.
Correct. And Phoenix, Golden State.
So I do think there may be some talk of reseeding. But outside of that, it doesn't change much that you would have done in the first round.
Now, there was a time, a long time ago in the NHL. The NHL used to have a best of 3 first round. And in the late 70s, and I don't think it carried over into the 80s, maybe it did at the very beginning of the decade. But they seeded the whole league 1 through 16. There's just no East-West. Because I remember one year, I think it was 79, Rangers played the LA Kings in a first-round best of 3. And yes, that's right. That meant game 1 was in New York and game 2 was in Los Angeles. And I remember game 2 went overtime, and the joke was as they went to OT, just how great this will be if LA scores, and we all got to go back to New York. But, would you be in favor of that going forward with either the NBA or the NHL?
I'd rather have one from 8 than 1 to 16.
Okay.
I still like the conferences. I still like a touch of regionalization, even though the conferences sometimes don't look that way.
This is how bat blank crazy, and there's a lot of circumstances behind all this. We know that. But in the NBA right now, after the first round, we have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8 seed that are playing. Denver's the 1, Boston's the 2, the Sixers are the 3, Phoenix is the 4, the Knicks are the 5, Golden State's the 6, the Lakers are the 7, and the Heat are the 8. That's who's advanced to the second round of the NBA playoffs. Needless to say, that's never happened before, and I think there's a chance for something to come out of the atmosphere and happen before we see it again.
So I do think this is a little bit of just craziness, David. Between what the road teams are doing, between the upsets, I think we're just having one of those years.
I don't know that there's anything that can be done to try to reestablish home court, home ice. I mean, all these arenas are built exactly alike. They all hire the same 3 firms to build them. I mean, they almost all sound the same, look the same. I mean,
yeah, there's no more dead spots on the parquet floor at the Garden, if you know what I mean. There's no
There's
no pillbox hockey arenas where it's 185 feet, not 200 feet.
Also the leagues have gotten involved, in which it used to be where the home team had great, locker rooms and what have you, and the road team had a dump. The league kind of got involved and said, you can't be doing that anymore. I mean, remember the old Boston Garden? I mean, not only did it not have air conditioning, the Lakers were convinced they turned the heat on in their locker room in the finals. That's how hot it was. And nobody put it past Red Auerbach to do it.
That was gamesmanship.
Right.
That was part of the lure of sports. Now, with the athleticism that we have, the NBA, the lack of defense at times in the 3-ball, anything can happen.
But I also think we are at least one generation, Mark, if not longer, into, we have sports psychologists now. We have, for better or worse, a lot more hands-on coaching at a younger age. I don't think the surroundings, even though there are athletes now who take leaves for mental health reasons and what have you, I do think in a strange way, I think the athlete today is far more able to handle the noise and the surroundings of playing on the road as opposed to in the past. When you and I were growing up, winning a road game was damn near impossible, particularly if you were not an equal team. You just couldn't do it. Whether the officiating was also 8 to 10 points against you. I mean, everything in hockey. Come on, Mark. You and I grew up. The better teams got calls. They just did. The league could deny it all they want. They just did.
Or they just didn't make them. I mean, that was the other side of it.
I remember
to see a penalty in the NHL playoffs for what seemed to be a decade.
Well, yeah, that's true. After the second period, they stopped calling penalties. But I remember one time the Islanders were going to get eliminated by the Penguins. They were going to end the dynasty in 82. And they're down 2 goals in the third period of an elimination game. They got 2 power plays. I mean, that just didn't happen. I remember watching thinking, well, this is hysterical. There are no penalties in the third period of a playoff game. And the Islanders just got back-to-back power plays. And they scored on both, forced overtime, and won.
I think Gator Dad in the Twitch chat room makes a great point. The travel is so much easier now for these players. They're obviously staying, they all have their own hotel room. They're flying privately.
Well, also in terms of in-game atmosphere, the fan is less hostile nowadays because the fan back then was allowed to get away with more, I feel like.
I completely disagree.
Really?
I completely disagree. First off, you didn't have guys sitting next to the benches. The stuff that is said at professional sporting events nowadays.
Compared to back then?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the language is worse now.
Far worse.
You didn't say some of the things that people are very comfortable saying in public now 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't
It's
scream
far
F-bombs in public.
No.
Okay.
No.
You just didn't.
I'll take your word for it.
No, I'll tell you what, we'll never be able to have this conversation, but I would love to be able to sit Magic and LeBron next to one another and say, all right, Magic, worst things that you ever heard that you remember coming out of the Boston Garden crowd in the 80s. And then between LeBron with the Lakers and the Heat, sit down and say, worst things you ever heard coming out of the crowd in the 2010s and 2020s. I think it'd be a completely different level of language. Far worse. But
all right.
I do think, though, Felipe, that your generation of athlete, whether it's better training, younger, whether because they play far more sports now because they're forced to, whatever. Mark, I do think your point about travel is an excellent one. It's just not as big a deal to go on the road. But all the arenas and all the rinks are exactly the same. That didn't used to be.
No, and I mean, they weren't staying in 5-star hotels either on the road. I mean, they weren't.
No, you're right.
The nutrition, all of the things that they get on the road. I mean, we got a team meal when we were on the road 20 years ago. And I was treated really well by the team I worked for.
It came in a little box?
Usually at the hotel, usually a nice little buffet. It was not all bad.
Good. That's good. Just to review, in the NHL anyway, home teams are 18-31. They're 3-11 in overtime. Never seen anything like it. Now, NBA home court can still mean things, but I mean, who'd have thunk that Golden State would win 2 games in Sacramento? Considering they won, 8-9 road games all year?
Right. The worst road team in the NBA has the biggest road win in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I think they had the 4th fewest wins on the road in the league, but they far and away had the worst road record of the teams in the playoffs. I mean, it was even worse than Memphis. And Memphis's road record was not good.
11-30.
They ended up winning 11?
They had 11-30 was their record.
Wow.
On the road. Only better than 2 teams in the conference. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. Today was a day when. Still coming ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, The Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Has anybody seen Fox News's ratings in the 8 o'clock slot since they got rid of Tucker?
Probably dropped a little bit.
Dropped a little bit?
They were getting $3 million a show, weren't they? Something like that?
Yeah. Now, his last show on a Friday, it's not a great ratings night, got 2.65 million. So his Monday show last week, when he'd been fired Monday morning, although technically I guess he's still on the payroll, whatever, they're working it out. Got 2.65 million. I'm guessing, most of the audience tuned in looking for an explanation or whatever. By the end of the week, they were doing 1.3 million. They were getting beat by, I think MSNBC beat them at 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Now, remember, Tucker took over for Bill O'Reilly, and 7 years ago, it was like, oh, how are they going to replace Bill O'Reilly? So, give it some time. But that is interesting. Because the word is that they took the approach that they took to January 6th and the election, and then because when they tried to play it straight for like a day and a half, their ratings went noticeably down, and they got a lot of angry emails and what have you. And so they said, screw that. We're going to play the hits. Well, so now what do? Play the hits with a different DJ, but who's the DJ going to be? Somebody recommended Will Kane. I thought was interesting. 3 years ago, the guy was doing Afternoon Drive on ESPN Radio.
And now he's a
Fox News guy.
Yeah.
Listen, this is Mark's area far more than me. I have no idea how you'd arrange it so that only your fans can buy tickets to the games.
I don't get it. I'm sure the technology's there to block whoever you want on Ticketmaster, but
no, I will say it'd probably be much easier to block if you're getting online from Canada. I could see that, but
in Canada relief, Panthers fans from Belgium aren't really that interesting. I don't even know if they have Panthers fans in Boca.
Boom. Well, Beck's made a fortune, Adam. An absolute fortune. Far more than he would have made if he had stayed with Fox. By the way, Vice has canceled their late news. Budget cuts. That 10 o'clock, I think it was, Vice News, which did a lot of in-depth stuff every night.
Mm-hmm.
Servassier Dennis really is an amazing name.
Yeah, but Glenn Beck's also doing his national radio show. I mean, he's on 200-300 stations from 9 to noon. I mean, that helps.
Here we go.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Our final thoughts and some predictions coming up in right around 20 minutes time. Our poll question pretty much encapsulates what we talked about today, with a touch of NFL draft thrown in. But our poll question, after as glorious a sports day and night as we think you can have, especially one that didn't involve any football. So what was the headline stealing event of yesterday?
Panthers beating the Bruins right now, getting 64% of the vote, 30% of the vote going for Steph scoring 50, and a mere 3.2% of the vote going for the Heat beating the Knicks.
Unreal. Jimmy Buckets, 25-11, hurt his ankle, played through it. Game 2 tomorrow. We'll see how healthy he is. See if Julius Randle plays.
That's the only, I mean, the NBA playoffs have had so many different storylines, the upsets, but the biggest one to me is the injuries. Never seen anything quite like it.
Well, we wondered whether load management during the regular season would play a role in the postseason, that now you're going to play harder and more often, and would guys be able to do it? Well, Embiid got hurt in the first round series against Brooklyn. He missed, 18 games during the regular season? I thought Embiid played like between 62 and 64 games. You know, Giannis got hurt in the playoffs. Giannis played 53 games? I mean, Giannis wasn't even in the 60s, I don't believe. I think Giannis played in the 50s this year. And he's going to finish third in the MVP voting, by the way. Missing over a quarter of the season. And whether it's no impact. I mean, do you think, by the way, it did have an impact that these guys, just because, Mark, you got it. I mean, you and I watch a lot of hockey. They don't really hit during the regular season anymore, and they hit a lot more now, and guys are still playing.
And they're getting hit with pucks. They're blocking all kinds of shots, and they're coming back. David, I don't know. They're just not all like Jimmy Butler.
Got that right.
Jimmy Butler's from another generation. He plays, and I think that's why you and I love him so much, that he plays the style that we're most familiar with. And I don't just mean the 2 versus the 3. I mean, he seems to play through pain. It doesn't bother him the way it bothers other players.
I know Michael Jordan's a terrible owner, and, there's word that even he wants out and he's going to sell. How ironic would that be? That if Jordan's only involvement in sports going forward is with NASCAR and not the NBA. But I digress. I honestly don't know how Michael Jordan is able to not lose his mind owning an NBA team with what's come into the league in the last 10 years. Michael Jordan's final season in the NBA, he was 40 years old. 40 years old. He played all 82 games. He averaged 37 minutes a night. I am shocked he has not lost his mind. Honestly, there's a part of me that's shocked that the Hornets as a franchise are not the old school, the way Jerry Sloan used to run the Utah Jazz, and even Popovich for the first part of his tenure with the Spurs. There's a part of me that's surprised that Jordan doesn't hire coaches that want to continue to coach like it's the 80s and the 90s.
Well, didn't it
mentality?
Didn't it all start in Washington with MJ, though? When he told them to draft Kwame Brown over Pau Gasol, Tyson Chandler, Tony Parker. Didn't it all start there?
No. He's been a horrible general manager / owner. No, I mean, apparently Barkley's friendship with Jordan ended because Barkley criticized the personnel moves that he made. Well, Barkley was right. I mean, you can't defend Jordan's record as a GM / owner, but just look at how he played out his career. I can't believe he writes the checks that he writes to the players on his team who are playing 56 games. I'm shocked he has anything to do with the league, to be honest with you. Surprised the league doesn't absolutely thoroughly discuss him. Remember, that was the NBA 20 years ago. They had back-to-backs. They had 4 and 5 nights then. All 82 games, 37 minutes a night. 40 years of age. Averaged over 20 points a game.
And these guys have never had better health care, if you will. There's never been an athlete that's been better trained than the athletes right now. So, I don't know.
Now, clearly, Embiid's got a knee injury. We got people in the Twitch chat room saying something about, grade 1 sprain to this. So I'm not doubting that. I mean, I think Joel Embiid wants to win an NBA title. I do. And I think Joel Embiid in the spring plays hard. But it is remarkable. These guys took time off for 6 months to be healthy for when? Now. They're not healthy. I do think it begs the question, why? I mean, Mark, if this were baseball and you and I were running an organization and we pampered our arms, and because we wanted them to be able to get it done in October and to be healthy and not be tired and be at full velocity, and then we get to the playoffs and half our staff can't go, don't you think people would question what the hell Miller and Moulton were doing?
Yes, 100% they would.
And it's not just, he'll be ready later in the series. You can't afford to lose these first 2 games. You have to steal a game from Boston if you have any chance on moving to the conference finals.
Seemingly, because it's a bigger deal in the NBA than it is in the NHL. But yes, we all agree with you. I mean, the basic math alone. I mean, are the Celtics going to lose 4 out of 5 to anybody? Honestly, is there anybody in the league right now who can beat the Celtics 4 out of 5?
I was going to say it's hard to win in Boston, but the Bruins seem to have proved that otherwise.
Well, also, the Celtics lost Game 5 at home to the Hawks. So
It's
been a bad week in Boston. It's been a bad week.
The only good news is the Yankees get swept so they can be tied with you for last place in the East.
Right. And Chris Sale pitched good ball into the 7th yesterday. That is the only good thing that's happened in Boston sports in a week. But this NBA thing's fascinating because the guys were rested up to do what? Kawhi played twice on back-to-back nights all year. Kawhi, why'd they do it? They wanted him healthy for the playoffs. Now, Paul George got hurt with 3 weeks left in the regular season. But they managed Kawhi the way they did. Why? So he'd be healthy for the playoffs, so he could play in the playoffs. He played 2 games.
I mean, Felipe, you follow the association closer than the two of us. Do you think this is a year of freak injuries? Do you think this is something that is because of load management? Do you have a theory on this at all?
I'm not really surprised with the Kawhi one specifically because I really can't even explain what's wrong with that dude. But when you look at the guys that are getting injured here, like Embiid, for example, these are just injury-prone guys. I mean, there were injury-prone guys back then as well, right?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. You listen to guys from back in the day, they rubbed dirt on it, taped it up, and played through it. They may not have played worth a damn, but,
that explains why their late careers were so awful then.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
And there's a lot more money in it from the team level too, so they can't take a chance on their investment. So it all wraps up into one, perfect storm for a lot of injuries, unfortunately. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap? Still all ahead on a Monday right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Go Raiders, you okay? My future son-in-law is all bummed. He's torn. He's much more of a Sacramento Kings fan than he is a Seattle Kraken fan. He just stumbled upon the Kraken the last 2 years. He spent 5 years of his childhood by Sacramento, so he's taking it hard.
Boston, Chicago, New York. South Florida doesn't care how big your market is. We will take down your teams.
I cannot believe the Panthers beat the Bruins. And there was nothing fluke about it either. That was a good old-fashioned hockey series, Mark. That was Edmonton, Calgary back in the day. That was good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Game 6 was nuts.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was Smite Division stuff right there. Yeah, Yinzer, I don't think so. For whatever reason, though, I don't know why Boston could not handle Florida's forecheck. And yet they did. I mean, games 3 and 4, and Fort Lauderdale, they handled them.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Can I make one point before you go and do your thing?
Absolutely.
If we can combine the last two segments into one point. The first segment this hour, we spent talking about how the home teams are not winning the way they used to. Even in the NBA and in hockey, it's a joke. Road teams are winning 64% of the time. And is this a fluke? Is there anything to be done and what have you? Then we started in the second segment, we're talking about injuries. So many of them, particularly in the NBA, and what a factor they are and what have you. If I could combine the two, because somebody mentioned Willis Reed. Think about this happening today. It was 50 years ago this month that Willis Reed limped out onto the floor for Game 7, played 4 minutes, hit 2 shots. But remember all the stories that are told today, that when Willis Reed came out of the tunnel and the place erupted, and they say, never heard it, man, that much noise before. Okay. And that the Lakers, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, everyone who was there said the Lakers basically were shot. They were stunned. They were freaked out. They fell apart like a cheap suit. And Willis Reed coming out of the tunnel defeated them. Could you imagine if that's true? We have to take it to be true. No one from the Lakers has ever said that wasn't true, by the way. Although I would like to think Walt Frazier's 37 had a lot to do with it. But could you imagine a scenario today? LeBron comes out of the tunnel. He was doubtful to play. And it's such a raucous scene and this great team. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West are basically unable to play because of the crowd noise and the sight of an injured player. And by the way, he played 4 minutes. He hit 2 shots. I mean, if that happened today, what would we say about Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, and Jerry West?
They'd be torched. They'd be completely humiliated on sports talk and television talk shows for days.
So either A, that's people taking tremendous creative liberties with what really happened and Walt Frazier should be given a hell of a lot more credit, which I contend. But also I do think, Mark, there is a little bit of, I do think athletes, even great ones, were far more influenced by their surroundings 2 and 3 generations ago than they are now.
No, I definitely think you're onto something with that. That today's athletes built better for handling the road, handling more difficult circumstances. And you could be onto something with your reasons why, that they start playing a lot more competitively at a lot younger age and are used to things happening a lot more quickly with their game.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1840. Penny Black, the world's first adhesive postage stamp, is issued by Great Britain. 1920, Babe Ruth hits his first home run for the Yankees in a 6-0 win over the Red Sox. 1925, Jimmy Fox makes his major league debut at 17 as a pinch hitter, gets a single.
17?
Right, 17. It's why I had to bring it up. But I know, Felipe, it's Jimmy Fox. Who the hell is that? He was 17 playing Major League Baseball. 1941, Citizen Kane premieres. Also in 41, U.S. savings bonds go on sale. And finally in 41, General Mills introduces Cheery Oats, renamed Cheerios in 1945.
Good change.
Very good change.
Good call there. I don't know the marketing that they did, the audience research and what have you, but that was good.
Mickey Mantle hits his first home run today in 51. Today in 52, Mr. Potato Head is introduced. Today in 55, Bob Feller tosses his record 12th one-hitter in an Indian 2-0 win over Boston.
Didn't he throw 4 no-hitters?
12 one-hitters, 4 no-hitters.
Well, and Nolan Ryan's like 7 and 12, I think.
Right. Let's see. 71, the Stones released Brown Sugar.
If I could stop you for a second, remember, Feller was like one of literally the first 100 people who signed up to fight in World War II after Pearl Harbor. He had pitched 3 years in the majors. And so that's in December of 41. 14 years later, he's throwing a no-hitter. I mean, Bob Feller's mid-30s when he's throwing that one-hitter.
Today in 88, after 50 in Game 1, Jordan has 55 in Game 2 to become the first to score 50-plus points in consecutive playoff games.
Does it say against who?
Cleveland.
Oh, man.
In 91, Ricky Henderson steals his 939th base, which was an all-time Major League Baseball record.
Is that when he held the base up in the air and said, I am the greatest of all time?
Also in 91, Nolan Ryan today threw his 7th no-hitter. He was 44 at the time.
Pitched for 2.5 more years.
Today in 96, the Heat, beaten by the Bulls, swept. First time in 14 years as head coach Pat Riley was ousted in the opening round. Today in 99, SpongeBob SquarePants debuts on Nickelodeon.
That's a big one.
I figured you'd think that was a little bigger than Charismatic winning the Derby the same day. Gladiator premiered today in 2000. Barry Bonds Day in 2000 is the first player to home run into the San Francisco Bay. He would end up hitting 35 into the Bay before he was all done.
I won a lot of money on Charismatic. Back-to-back, Thunder Gulch and Charismatic. I think they were back-to-back. Maybe Thunder Gulch was a couple years earlier. I had a good run in the 90s with the Derby.
Smarty Jones wins the Derby today in 04. In 05, a 17-year-old Messi scores his first senior goal for FC Barcelona. And then in 2019, he scores twice, which would get him to 600.
Seems like he was busy in between.
Right. Chuck Bednarik would have a birthday today, David. I know you'd want to know that. Jockey Steve Cawthon is 62. Tim McGraw is 56. Stuart Appleby is 52. And Curtis Martin is 50 years old today. What did I miss, David?
By the way, Chuck Bednarik would kick your butt on his birthday at his party. Empire State Building, dedicated on this day in 31. You did mention Citizen Kane, right? That was that trifecta that all happened on this day in 41.
Right.
So Empire State Building open today, basically.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Ian Palmer was struck down with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I believe it's called. Forced him to spend several months in a hospital. He was unable to speak or walk properly. This condition happens when your own immune system attacks their body's motor nerves. Through music, a music therapist prescribed mindful listening to his favorite song every night. He's now walking 3 miles a day and talking better. And they say it's all because of the music therapy. And of all things, he's listening to the Carpenters. Who knew? For the bad, we go to Pennsylvania, where as a man ran from police, apparently drug use was a factor. Police reported about receiving calls of a naked man running around downtown Lewiston. Ran past the police station. And then when police were on him, he jumped into the canal. Took 24 rescue workers to get him out of the canal before he was taken to jail. Finally, the ugly, we go to Auburn, Maine, where employees at a Maine restaurant thought they were opening a large wooden crate that they thought was a shipment of mugs that they recently ordered. Instead, it was 31 pounds of fentanyl.
What?
Yes. Jeremy Mercer was the one who had the drug shipped to the restaurant that he worked at. He'd already spent time behind bars on a drug conviction in 2007. My guess is he's going to spend a long time there now. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, May the 1st. It's May Day, 2023.
So when you're getting arrested and you're standing there and you're like, I was expecting to open this box and see 40 Virginia is for lovers mugs. I mean, what the heck? Fentanyl? I didn't order that. Got a lot going on in the sports world today.
We do.
First off, at noon on FS1, we got NASCAR. It's the second year in a row, third time in 5 years. They're having to finish at Dover on a Monday at the Monster Mile. Noon, FS1. Mets and Braves are playing a doubleheader at 1 and 4. I don't think you could see it anywhere unless you got the package, but they got rained out both Saturday and Sunday. There is a Major League Baseball game nationally televised tonight. Giants-Astros, 8 o'clock on FS1. Both the Marlins and Rays are off tonight, Mark. Game 7, Stanley Cup playoffs. Winner faces Carolina. Rangers at Devils. Be the third Game 7 they've played against one another. First one in nearly 30 years. And a couple of second-round series in the NBA. By the way, the Rangers-Devils game's 8 o'clock ESPN. TNT tonight's your basketball doubleheader home, 7:30, Sixers-Celtics. Boston a 10-point favorite because Embiid is not expected to play. 10 o'clock, which will probably mean about 10:15. Phoenix and Denver. Denver's already up 1-0 in that series, and the Nuggets are a 4.5-point favorite. The ESPN matchup predictor gives the Suns a 32% chance of winning tonight. Both Shaq and Barkley on TNT on Saturday before the game and then afterwards. They were all over Denver. They're like, this is not a good matchup for Phoenix. Outside of Durant and Booker, where are they going to get their points from? And they rattled off the 5 different scoring options that Denver had, and they just felt it's going to be a tough matchup for Phoenix. No bench. They're not wrong about that, Mark.
Can Durant put them on their back? I mean, basically, can he and Booker 4 times put them on their back? Because you don't have to do it 7 times. We know that. You got to have 4 great nights.
And that's what they said. And Shaq said, hey, I've been on teams where it was me and one other guy. He goes, it's hard. He goes, it's hard. It's a lot of pressure. It wears you down. He even talked about it. He said, hey, we're on championship Lakers teams, but both me and Kobe had to show up every night. One of us couldn't be off.
Which is even more amazing yesterday with what Golden State did, because Thompson had a bad game. And Steph throws a 50-point on him.
You look at the shooting numbers, the rest of the team had a bad game. I mean, Felipe pointed out earlier, Looney with 20 rebounds off the bench, his third 20 rebound effort in the series. And Steph was historically magnificent. The dynasty does not end now, is what he said. And it would be ironic if LeBron has to end the Warriors' dynastic run. Or does Steph, who got the better of LeBron 3 out of 4 times, does he continue the dynastic run through LeBron?
Who do you like in that series, by the way?
I like the Lakers.
Felipe?
I think the Lakers match up better against the Warriors.
A lot of size, don't they? I mean,
I mean, Sabonis or Anthony Davis, who's a bigger threat in the paint.
We talked about it. I think that series, Mark, encapsulates everything about the NBA today. If Anthony Davis can stay healthy for 6 or 7 games, the Lakers should win that series. They have no answer for him.
None.
But Anthony Davis can't go a week at a time and stay healthy. They beat Memphis by 40. Anthony Davis was like Bill Russell on that court when they beat Memphis. He had like 7 blocks. He was amazing.
Darvin Ham said it preseason. As soon as he was hired, he said it's going to be up to AD. If he stays healthy, they have done it before. They've won a championship with the LeBron AD core. But availability is the best ability.
Thank you, Tony Dungy.
So there's a little preview of what's going on tonight in the sports world and a little look ahead to some of the series that are happening later in the NBA.
You got a gut feeling about Rangers Devils? The Rangers are the better goalie. They're more experienced. They're deeper.
I thought the Rangers were going to win the series when it started. I think they're going to win it now.
It's funny. I got a funny feeling about the Devils, even though they're the home team, and home teams aren't doing squat.
It's going to have a great atmosphere because there'll be a lot of Ranger fans at this. This will be nuts.
Seth's going to be there with his daughters, too. If they lose, I don't even know if he'll come on the show Wednesday. Miller and Moulton. Have a great May Day.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters.